So there's a guy in a bar. He's really drunk. He's about as drunk as you could be. These other guys see him. They decide to be good Samaritans, and they're going to take him home. First, they got to find out where he lives. They pick him up to look at his wallet. He drops to the ground at a thud. They take him to the car. He drops 8 more times, each time with a loud thud. They get him out of the car. They walk him to the front door. 4 more times he falls down. His wife comes out. One of the guys says, "Man, we brought your husband home." The woman says, "Where's his wheelchair?" Okay, so yeah, we're going to talk about the stupid monkey Wikipedia story, but not right away. We're just teasing it.
Which is a whole lot more interesting and funnier than that joke.
The Bieber story is funny, but it's not true. We will debunk the Bieber saved the guy from a bear mauling attack. And anyway, I'm also at the end of the show when we talk about our Monday night show, what's coming up. I'm going to talk about the NVIDIA Shield, which I bought on Alan's advice for one of my sales reps. To tease that segment, it is badass. It's really fast, really awesome, great audio. Okay, a Sprint update. My Note 2 was scratched. That's unrelated to the fact that I had crappy service here, which is why I'm on Sprint, because they have the only tower here. So I got the thing, the AirRave thing, which is how they do their thing. Then they just randomly sent me another one and a new note. I didn't ask for the note. I have no idea why they sent the note. So I get the note. I have another note here, and all these boxes came in, and then now I got another email today that my third note is shipped. That must be why Sprint's having financial troubles. They keep sending people new phones. And
Dan, are we on the air?
Yeah, we're on the air. Yeah, so I got my note right.
Because this is even more, A, it's more random than usual for you. B, you're not talking into your microphone.
Yeah, I'm talking to my microphone.
This is much better from Monday night show, which is on
I'm just saying,
Eastern,
Sprint,
6 p.m. Pacific, our Android week. This is Google Plus week, and we're now on the air for, I guess, about 3 minutes. It would be nice if we started
Did you get a note? Did you get a Note 2 or 3?
I got a Note 2, and I got to return the old one. And now they're sending me a third. So, like, every few days I have to return my phone. Sprint, if you're watching, please stop sending me Note 2s. And I could buy a new one anyway. I'm off contract. I could get a whatever. So anyway, all that happened. And then Amazon sent me, I swear to God, I got an HDMI cable, a 9-foot mini to regular HDMI cable, right? It's about this big. And they sent it in this.
I ordered 2 wooden spoons, and I swear to God, it came in a box big enough to hold both of my cats.
This is like big enough to hold the original iPhone bill from AT&T. So I just thought that was funny. So anyway, now for
I ordered a fog machine one time from Amazon, and I got a football helmet.
Well, with all that fog, you might bump into something. A teenager texting or something. And you'll need to have pads.
But I didn't get the fog machine. I got the helmet instead of the machine, not with it.
Dan, are we running the show backwards tonight? Did we start with how was your Google Plus week?
You know, I don't know what to think. All right, so our first topic. I want to do tomorrow. I will be on the Virginia Talk Radio Network. It's got a tricky URL, virginiatalkradionetwork.com, at 11:07 a.m. Eastern, right after CBS News. I'll be talking about Governor McDonald's trial, former Governor McDonald's trial, and the blame the crazy wife strategy that they're employing. He's charged with corruption, taking money for stuff, and then I'll be talking about the Iraq situation. And I guess we're going to talk about the Google Plus Android app first.
No.
That's on the list. Oh, yeah, we want to do a shout-out to Brad. Brad from Tech Webcast. His show starts at 10. It's like 2 days later. It's like Wednesday afternoon in Australia right now. So it's crazy over there. But anyway, it's his 300th show. So kudos to Brad and the gang for their getting through 300 episodes. That's fantastic. It's a great show. I've been on it. I think Alan's been on it. Craig's been on it. And they don't like Pam for some reason. They haven't invited Pam. I don't know. Some bad blood or that Australian joke she told that time. But anyway, okay, so our first topic is the Google Plus app. I got to tell you, I try to share stuff, and I can't figure out how to turn public off. You know how we do those private posts, like, is this topic better for Monday or Friday? And it'll go to some of us, right? It's very hard to do that, to select people. It's kludgy now.
I actually like the new method better than the old method.
If you wanted to send a post just to me, and you wanted to plus mention me in the post, and you did not want it to be public, I could not figure out how to do that. I was going to share some ISIS story about they started bombing ISIS again. I was going to say, I think, better warm up the virgins, but I couldn't unpublic it. It's frustrating.
Are you talking about on the app, or are you talking about on the web page?
On the mobile app.
Yeah.
I can't figure out if I try to do a post and I want to remove public and add somebody. Let's say I wanted to send Pam some racy thing. I don't know how to do that. I can't figure it out. And I host a show about Android. So either the app's dumb or I'm dumb. More likely the latter.
Usually when I'm sharing now, it'll have public chosen initially, and I can just choose after that. In the circle, there's two areas that I get: recent and then circles, and then I can just choose either one of those circles that are in circles, or I can click on the choose people to share with at the top, and then I can choose individual people.
Right, but you can't choose nobody and plus mention them and have the plus mentions only show up.
Right, okay.
You used to be able to, but now you have to select at least one person, then do the plus mentions, then possibly delete them if you want, or plus mention them and then go delete the public afterwards.
Right.
I think I guess the reason was the original way. It was just like desktop, where you would hit the plus sign on your phone and then hit the name. And probably for new users, that wasn't intuitive and didn't make any sense. I'm guessing. So they dumbed it down for the rest of us.
No, I think the new way is actually more powerful. It works fairly well. It's a little slow on mine at the moment, so I'm having trouble testing this to be sure.
I could try it on one of my Note 2s.
The biggest issue is that you need to select at least one person from that list. But it's a pretty good list. In some ways, it actually works better than
it's intuitive.
Than the desktop version.
Yeah, it's relevant. I mean, they show you relevant choices. I'm still getting complaints from Craig that when he's looking for me, like he has to type in Dan MCDE before it pulls me up, and we interact constantly.
So
he'll get like a bunch of other people he's never talked to before.
What's the topic again?
Let's actually get to the topic. There's an update to the Android Plus app, and I think they said it was faster, better, less buggy, and especially good in low internet environments.
Yeah, they're claiming that it's faster, especially in poor connectivity. By which I'm assuming they mean that whatever API calls they were making before, they were doing it incredibly inefficiently, and they finally bothered to look at that. I don't know how true that is. I haven't gotten the new version yet myself. But it's been a complaint of mine for a long time that the network connection has just been pathetically slow. They've made a couple of other interesting UI changes that I've seen some people point out. So some things like on your profile image, your image used to be centered. It's now off to the left, which is similar to how it's done on the desktop. Not exactly the same, but similar. You used to be able to do a search directly from the screen that would come up when you swipe down, when it said there were new posts, from that screen you used to be able to directly do a search. Now you have to click on everything and then click on search. Still a questionable UI choice in my mind, but I don't know. I can't even say it grows on me.
I would say I'm looking forward to seeing this new update, but what I'm looking forward to more is if they start uncoupling things from Google Plus in general.
It's uncoupled already!
Well, no, I want them to go further. What I mean is stuff like I'm looking forward to them pulling out photos and then just having that as its own. Sort of.
They pulled it out a year ago.
Still sort of. I want it. I want. I want less. I want less. Like when I go to let me give an example. When I go to my profile, one of the options that I have is, at least on the mobile app, I can see about, posts, photos, YouTube, all those different things. I would love to see stuff like YouTube pulled out of my profile entirely, then just have a link that goes over to YouTube. It just because one of the problems I have is that it's pulled out. One of the problems I have is that to even see all those options, if I have my phone in, let's say, a portrait position like this, I have to scroll left and right just to see all the different options, and I want fewer options. Like I just want one or two options there. So if I could lose the YouTube link in underneath my profile page, then I wouldn't have to scroll left and right, because that's a bit confusing.
This is in Google Plus.
In the mobile app. If I click on my actual profile. I'll see my back.
Who does that?
I do sometimes. but it's confusing a little bit because I have to scroll left and okay. I see my picture, my name, stuff about me, and then there's the section where it's about, posts, photos, YouTube. There's this little menu list, and in order for me to see everything on there, I have to scroll left and right. And to me, that feels a bit confusing.
I have about, posts, and photos.
Yeah, I have about, posts, photos, YouTube, and
I see what you're saying, fine. I see what you're saying.
Oh, I don't have those available for other people to see. So I only have those three things.
But I do have...
Kevin, here's the thing. That's going away soon anyway. You won't be scrolling left and right anyway. They're going to get rid of that.
Wait, because of material design?
Yeah.
Okay.
That screen hasn't been converted to material design.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Because that's totally inconsistent with material design.
Okay, yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to.
We got some comments.
That has got nothing to do with separating out the module, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, okay. What I mean is, okay, if I go to the main menu,
I don't even know what the hell the main menu is anymore.
You're right. I don't know what they have changed it. I used to be able to easily get to this. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. It's gone. They've changed everything, and it's going to change again when they put out material design.
Well, they started to put out material design, but they didn't go very far.
Okay, real quick, let me do some comments here. Sai, still not getting notifications. I think what I'm going to start doing, the circle, I'm going to just start plus mentioning everyone in it.
Oh, God.
It'll be a pain in the ass, and I'll just, at the bottom of the post, I'll say, here are our VIP viewers. If you want to be one, let me know.
No,
and then
here's what you do. Everybody. If you want a notification, follow the Google Plus Week Show page and turn notifications on. Put it in a circle where you've got notifications on. That way, every time Dan sends a message from that page, you'll get the notification.
I would agree with what Alan's saying. In the past, I've said I have not been able to get notifications. But what I've really been finding is that I'm getting the notifications. It's just I haven't been on the right screen to see these notifications come in.
It's just frustrating because
or when I've gotten the notifications, I had my phone so that it was on either silent or vibrate, and I missed the vibration, or I had the phone on silent. So I'm seeing now that I'm getting now that I'm actually turning my phone more off of vibrate or silent, I'm actually seeing notifications from the page when the show starts. So that would be a good idea.
George says, Dan, that's the problem with Android. You need a degree in geekery to figure it out. And it's already 3:04 a.m. I should be sleeping, says George Cozy. So I want to see Alan shout at someone at least 2 times in the next 2 hours to make it worth staying awake.
I think I've already shouted twice so far in the past. What are we at so far? 12 minutes. So I think it's a safe bet you'll see it a few more times, George.
And please do comment.
Sorry, past 15 minutes.
And my thing's messed up. My comment's cutting George off at the top. Grr. Okay. Are we good on that?
Are you guys tracking comments?
Yes.
I am, yes, and I've shared it.
Okay, I don't need to open Comment Tracker. My computer is just bogged down like you wouldn't believe. And so I'm trying to... I don't know what's going on.
By the way, I should introduce our panel. Pam Adgers in Menifee, California. Welcome, Pam.
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Kevin Bryan. I forget what state you're in.
I am in the Atlanta area, Atlanta, Georgia. I am in Georgia. And tonight's a pretty nice night. After the storm that went through, there was a tornado warning for a couple of minutes, but it went away, and everything's fine now.
I'm sure the local TV news had you, boarding up your windows for the big one. Alan Furstenberg in New York. Welcome, sir.
Hi, Dan.
And Mady Crit says, I received 3 notifications. Maybe you got size. See, the internet's a series of tubes. Anyway, I don't know how to.
I thought the internet was a hyperloop.
Dan, if you're going to make fun of that comment, you can at least say what's wrong with that.
I don't know specific. I mean, it's wires, but it's essential. It's not really. I can't explain it as well as you can. It is wires.
You said it's not really. It's not really what?
Everything's going everywhere, kind of.
So it is a series of tubes.
You can do better, Alan. Don't troll me.
You're trolling yourself.
No, I'm not.
Craig needs to come in so he can troll us all.
Next subject.
HTTPS, which is secure, is going to be rated as a factor in your Google PageRank, but in a minor way. It'll affect, I think, less than 1% of the results and carry far less weight than other things they deem important, like quality content. So I'm not exactly sure how secure HTTPS is. I know that, like, I looked at when you go to the site, our local site, one of them, frederickcounty.com, it just says, it's HTTP, or it just says warrencountyreport.com at the top. So should we worry that we're going to have diminished page rank and we should implement this? I don't even know how. I'm not even sure what the hell it is.
So let's start from the very, very basics and explain what these are. Do we know what HTTP is, Dan?
Hypertext Transfer Protocol.
Oh, very good.
From one tube to another.
That's actually not that far off. HTTP is the basic protocol that we have for contacting web servers, telling the web server what we want, and getting a response back. Over time, it's evolved a little bit more than that, but fundamentally, that's what it is. We connect to a machine, we say, hey, this is the page that I want, it sends a page back. One of the problems with this is that if we're sending things like our financial information, we'll connect to the machine, we'll send information over like our bank account, our password, and so forth, and get something back. But anybody who's in between here and there can sniff the wire and see what we've got. So you can think of it as very primitive wiretapping, except it's actually pretty advanced. The problem, though, is anybody between here and there could do it. So if we're working from our computer at work, anybody who's sitting on the same LAN segment as us, in theory, could sniff our traffic and see what we're sending. HTTPS attempts to solve two different things. The first, and
I think I just shut this thing down. I hope I didn't. Let me see what's going on. I'm going to get an error message. I think we're back. Yep, we're back. I apologize. I actually edited the streaming program and started back up, and we're still going. There was a little break. So I apologize to everyone. That was me. So, Alan, you were saying...
If we can actually get a viewer telling us that we're back, we would appreciate it.
First, we're going to get a bunch of messages saying we're down.
Yeah.
Delayed 30 seconds.
So HTTPS tries to solve this problem by doing two crucial things. The first is that the message that we send to the server and that the server sends to us is encrypted. So that nobody, at least nobody in theory, and in practice it's actually probably pretty true, so that nobody can read what page we're requesting, what data we're sending up, or what the contents of the page coming back are. In that sense, it's actually fairly secure and is a very good protocol.
So, here's my question that needs to be asked right now. Okay?
ASAP. ASAP. The good kind.
So, if my computer has the ability to decrypt it, and your computer has the ability to encrypt it, right?
Yep.
Then how come someone else tapping into the line doesn't also have the ability to decrypt it?
Okay. The long answer to that, by the way, we're getting a bunch of messages saying we're back. So, yep, we're back. Welcome back. Back. Thank you, everybody.
Love you guys.
The long answer that explains that, Pam, is a full semester course in computer science and mathematics.
You're going to give me the really short answer, right?
The really,
Hopefully.
really short version, yes.
We can hope.
The short answer, actually, the short answer is a patent, and it's called the RSA patent. It basically says that they came up with a way, and for people who actually do understand this protocol, please forgive me. I know I am oversimplifying it. Basically, they've come up with a way that the two of us can each independently create something. What's called a public key and a private key, and Sai provides a full link to the details for you, by the way. We create a public key and a private key. We exchange things using the public key. We can exchange those public keys, that's why they're called public. But a public key can only be used to encrypt something. It can't be used to decrypt that message. Instead, the private key can be used to decrypt that message, but can't be used to encrypt it. So we can safely hand around these public keys, and there's a key exchange protocol that lets us do so. And lets us do so in a way so that we can trust who we're getting it from, trust that they are who they say they are, trust that this is the key that we think that it is, and trust that nobody else has intercepted that key or can intercept the message. I've grossly oversimplified it, but key exchange and public key cryptography are extremely well-researched and well-understood methods of cryptography at this stage. They've been around for 20 or 30 years at this point.
Alan, question. Captain Euro is saying this blows. You can never comment when watching a Hangout on your Android device in YouTube. You can never comment on YouTube when watching a Hangout on your Android device, but you can do it if you're on a real computer. So is there any workaround for that, Alan? Like,
I have no idea.
I guess if you were looking at Google Plus on the mobile browser and watching the YouTube video there, which would suck, he could comment on the YouTube post, because all those comments are aggregated. If you comment on a YouTube post of this show while we're live or after, or a share of a share, it all goes to the same place. We can still see it.
The solution is to comment on one of the Google Plus posts that we have, because we're also monitoring all of those.
See, what I do is I have 7 of these Note 2s, and then I can have one I'm watching on, and then the other one I can comment on the Google Plus post. See, multitasking. Thank you, Sprint.
So, does that sort of answer your question, Pam?
Pam, are you asleep?
No,
I
Pam,
am not
not
asleep.
The second part of what the protocol does, though, is equally important in some ways, and that's reassure us that the company we're connecting to is actually who we think we're connecting to. So or at least it's trusted by somebody to be the organization that they claim to be. So if we're connecting to Microsoft.com or Google.com, there's a certificate that they hand out that says, hey, this certificate says we're Google.com, and it's verified by this other company. And your browser trusts this other company. And there's a series of things called certificate chains that help our browsers verify who this is. And every so often, you might go to a site, and Chrome, for example, will pop up this warning screen that says, hey, this site identifies themselves as one thing, but their certificate says they're some other site. This may not be what you think, so be careful here.
Question. So obviously, if I'm running Dan's e-commerce site where you can buy things, I should definitely have HTTPS. If it's Brad's blog, and people can comment and they can sign up for email updates and read posts, and is that something he should do? Should everyone do this? And if Google's obviously they're putting a priority on it, if it's going to affect to a minimal extent initially, if it's now affecting PageRank.
Well, and that's a good question. There are a lot of people that are saying things like, casual pages really don't need to get an SSL certificate because it costs a little bit of money to get one, and you need to make sure you renew them every year. And, if the information is public, why does it matter? And a lot of other things like that. My personal opinion is that even for these cases where you're not running an e-commerce site, where you've got no credit cards going over, it's still worthwhile to encrypt the traffic. And this is true for a couple of reasons. The first is that although somebody who is sniffing will be able to know what machine you're going against, they won't know what you're asking for, and they won't know what's coming back.
So I've got on my left screen...
Reason what? Reason two is the second point about what HTTPS does that's good for you, is that it makes sure, it lets you know that you are actually connecting to the site you think you are. And this prevents what are called man-in-the-middle attacks. So in theory, if I wanted to go to Google.com, somebody in the middle could redirect me to somewhere else besides Google.com, send me to a fake Google.com site. And the only thing that is preventing that is the fact that I'll get a certificate that says, hey, this isn't Google.com certificate. You ended up someplace else.
So you can tell, I guess, like on Chrome here, I'm looking at the comment tracker and it just says www to All My Plus in the URL at the top left there. If I go to the YouTube, it says HTTPS. So I guess it
says
shows
HTTPS,
that if it's...
and it shows that in green.
Ah, okay. And a little lock thing. What's that mean?
That means that it's secure. You can click on that lock and you'll see the certificate.
So in the case of like our sites with the Area Guides Network, we have 30 sites hosted on a big server somewhere. If we want to do that, you would get that on the domain level, right?
You need to, well,
provider?
there are a variety of different types of SSL certificates you can get. One of them, the simplest, the cheapest, the most common, yes, it gets you one certificate for each name that you want. There are a lot of other complications, though. The biggest one being that under most normal circumstances, that also means you need to get one IP address, not just one host name, for each one of these certificates. And if you want to do something different, it starts adding up.
So,
roughly, what does it cost? Sorry, Pam.
You can get basic SSL certificates for $15 a year, I believe.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead, Pam. I'll go after you.
My computer doesn't have a static IP address. So how would that be handled?
That's not a problem, because for the most part, you're dealing with the certificates are on the server side. There is a protocol, and this is actually a really good question. There are things called personal SSL certificates that verify to the server that you, logging in, are who you say you are. So you would connect, it would send your personal SSL certificate, the server would verify that's who you are. In practice, nobody uses it. And it's not because there's no... mostly it's because it's a little bit too complex to use. This, however, does tie into a comment or a question that we got from George a minute ago, where he says, let me ask you something. If you wanted to send a secure message today, would carrier pigeon be more secure than email? The answer is no. Email, there are a number of email solutions to creating secure encrypted and digitally signed messages between you and your destination. And in fact, Google has taken that a step further, and this is something we covered relatively recently, where you can now create digitally signed messages on your computer, your local machine, and send them through Google's infrastructure to somebody else. And you'll do that in a well-established, open protocol, open, well-understood, and well-tested protocol that's been in place for 30 years. Just that Google is now extending it to the point on your browser. So even between your browser and Google, it's completely encrypted, so Google has no way of getting at it.
Yeah, there's also other services out there too that'll do it. I know Proton Mail just came up recently. If you look up Proton Mail, protonmail.ch, there's this new email service that's in Switzerland. So and that's also going to be more secure. They encrypt all the email on their servers so that even they don't know what emails that they're getting, and it's encrypted end to end. So if you're really interested in keeping those secure, that would also be more secure. One other thing that I was going to add about what Dan was talking about, how much trouble it would be to add that SSL certificate. One other reason you'd want to add it is a customer service standpoint, because whenever I see a website that implements HTTPS, I know that they're serious about their website, and so I give whatever's on that website a little bit more credence than a website that might just have the HTTP. Fair or unfair, if you see just regular HTTP, I consider it a little bit more casual. But when I see HTTPS, I think in my head first and foremost, oh, okay, this person cares about this site, and so I'm more inclined to check that website out and take what they say seriously. So that's another reason that you might want to use an SSL certificate.
We have this comment from Sai, which I think summarizes what I was trying to say earlier quite well. Anytime you want to secure the transmission of data, you should use SSL, and anytime you want to verify your site's identity, you should use SSL. So those are the two big reasons why SSL is out there. And that second point is probably the biggest one, why even people who, have just public information they're handing out, the second one is probably the biggest reason that those people have to do it. And it's one of the reasons that Google is kind of nudging us in this direction.
Yeah, I also want to back up what you were saying, Alan, about explaining HTTP, because I went through that experience recently, and it really is a semester-long course.
You mean explaining RSA and Diffie-Hellman?
Right, all of those things. It takes a while. It takes a while to get through that stuff.
RSA and Diffie-Hellman, if you try to dig in and understand the math, it's not simple. But all of our modern cryptography rests on some of those foundations, and it's very important. I spent multiple semesters working on them, and was working on it as part of my thesis. It's an incredibly hot field now, and it was 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
I think we're winding down, Dan. Time for you to wake up again.
Okay, so George Cozy, after the Snowden revelations, how can anybody be sure that certificates are not compromised?
It's a good question, actually. And how can we be sure? Here's the thing. We have a reason, we don't have any guarantees. What we do have is that we've had a lot of people looking at these protocols and looking at the algorithms under the protocols for going on 30 years now. We're reasonably sure they're fairly strong. We're reasonably sure that the key sizes that we're using these days are long enough to prevent most attacks against them. Now, you'll notice I'm putting in a lot of caveats here. We know that the NSA has a lot of computing power against it. And this, in some ways, actually is a good reason why you should be to encourage encrypting everything. Because if the NSA... Okay, you want the conspiracy theory side of this? Here's the conspiracy theory side of it. If the NSA doesn't have the computing power to decrypt everything. They have the computing power to decrypt some things, possibly the most important things, and even those things will take a bit of time to do. So if we as a worldwide community are encrypting everything, it forces them to spend their computing power on the most important things to them. And hopefully those would actually be the things that are important to national security. Unlike collecting everything and randomly sniffing through it for totally random stuff. So I hope that kind of addresses your question, George.
And I got to say, I just got a push notification on my phone. I'm not going to say from who, because it doesn't tell me from who, but it's to an art gallery showing in Toronto at 10 p.m., and I can map to drive. And I'm in Virginia. So this person who I don't know can push this to my phone, and these people who have asked for notification for grr. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Should we do the topic about the Yahoo coalition with for the Gmail encryption or whatever?
Sure.
Email encryption.
That might work here.
I think it would be a good thing. So this is I saw this. I did not thoroughly read it. Yahoo joins a Google effort to encrypt mail. Again, you know more about this than I. But I know that this, obviously, you guys have been talking about this for a long time, and the Edward Snowden revelations, and this. Then he would do interviews. He actually has a recommended list of protocols and specific programs and things. I think one of them shut down recently, but there's all of a sudden interest in this. Now, I could care less. I'm a public figure. I assume everyone, I'm not robbing banks or plotting terrorist attacks. I don't care. So, for
wait a
folks
minute,
who worry
Dan.
about this,
Hang on, Dan. Did I just hear you say that you don't care that somebody could have access to your email?
a business competitor, maybe, but it's not like I have a wife and I'm cheating on her, or I'm looking
You,
at
a
animal
reporter,
porn.
have
Oh.
no concerns whatsoever.
Okay, yeah. For business,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that
For my
part.
secret sources.
I mean, Dan, we're commemorating the 40th anniversary of Nixon's resignation this weekend, and you, a reporter of all people, I would assume would be the sort who would want to protect your sources by email,
Yes,
ensure the
because I
confidentiality of your sources, and so forth.
in my coverage of parakeets and camels, I frequently am discussing national security secrets with whistleblowers. But on a more serious note, what this actually is about is the government, and it's at first glance my thought was, oh, this is to prevent hackers from your stuff. But what this really is they want to create something. I'm not sure how it will be legal, because you can't create, like with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, it's illegal for you to sell a DVD recorder or Blu-ray recorder that allows you to take digital copyrighted marked as such content and record it. Things like that. Now you could still do the analog way, right? You could come out with your yellow or your RGB RCA cables and record it that way and bypass the digital, I think. But I don't see how you could legally come up with something that would be designed to thwart a court order to turn over someone's email. And that's kind of what this is about, right? That's the thing,
Well,
because this is all related to transparency reports, and that they're saying you have to give us Alan Furstenberg's private email, and you're not allowed to ask why, and you're not allowed to tell Alan that you're taking his email. And so they're saying, well, let's come up with a system where that's physically impossible, and that would be popular. What do you think?
Here's the thing, though, Dan. We have this today. If I wanted to send you a message, even better, if I wanted to send Cadeas a message, and I wanted to do it in a way that I didn't care if somebody knows that I'm sending a message, one really good way to do it would be to take a classified ad out in your newspaper and send a bunch of letters that looked like gibberish to you and to the federal government who may be reading it. But if Cadeas has the key, that if he knows how to turn each letter into another letter, he could decrypt the message. Right? Is there anything illegal about that?
No, I guess
No.
not.
No. There's nothing illegal about that. There's nothing illegal about sending a message to somebody else in whatever form. This has been established multiple times by the courts. So, this kind of takes it, instead of publishing it in a newspaper, I am directly sending it to Cadeas. If you intercepted this in between, all you would see is a bunch of gibberish on the page. But I have the key that encrypted it, and Cadeas has the key that decrypts it.
And does this, the reason they're able to get the emails with the national security letter instead of a warrant is because it's considered a business transaction, and it's not like a letter I'm putting in the U.S. mail to Alan.
Right. It's a number of things, which none of which I really want to go into at the moment. But basically, it's sitting on a server that is not in my control, and it's not in Cadeas's control. It's sitting on Google's server, and because of that, they can use an NSA to get it. Now, the answer actually is, in this case, they'll still be able to use an NSA to get it. The difference, though, is what they will get is gibberish. And what this article is about is something that I alluded to a little bit ago. Google has said that they wanted to make it so that when you can send email using a protocol known as PGP, Pretty Good Privacy, which encrypts the email before you send it. So before it goes to Google servers, I'm going to encrypt it using a PGP key. Google servers will get this encrypted message. The only thing they'll know is who to send it to, Cadeas in this case. They'll send it to Cadeas's account. When he downloads it to read it, his local reader will decrypt it using his private key.
And it's important to note it does not encrypt the fact that Alan sent a message and that Cadeas received it and that it was done at this time and date. It just
That's
encrypts
correct.
the contents of the message.
That's correct. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I would assume this is in much the same way that if I put a return address on an envelope, as well as the address of the person I'm sending it to, that information can be seen, but the contents of that envelope can't.
That's a good analogy.
It's actually a really good analogy, because then you can, do you necessarily trust the return address on an envelope?
And it's similar. It really doesn't give any more protection than what you have now in some ways, because like this, the NSA mass data collection of phone calls. It doesn't record the phone call. It simply says Alan called Dan at 4:20 p.m. on Tuesday. And then what they do is, if you're on a watch list, if they suspect you're a terrorist guy, then they can go. I think they used to go 6 out. In other words, everyone you called, and then everyone they called, and everyone they called 6 times. Now they reduced it to 3 times. But they don't have, to get the actual calls, they have to do either a national security letter or a court order to get the actual contents, depending on. So I don't even know how it works.
Well, and that's true. Metadata is a very important bit of information. One of the things that we need to be careful about is metadata is not always reliable when it comes to email. As I said, if you think of the U.S. Postal Service analogy, the from address on an envelope is whatever I put there. It doesn't really need to be my from address. I can make an envelope look like it came from Kevin instead of me. There's no way to verify a from address on an email. In fact, the only way to verify that is to use something like a digital signature, which is just as encrypted as the rest of the message.
Any other thoughts on this? Oh, experts?
We have this comment from Travis. Great discussion on security and encryption. 2 things. Numberphile on YouTube has a great video on the math for encryption and how the NSA cracked a lot of emails. 2, as to Dan's comment of nothing to hide, there's so many laws out there you can't possibly know what laws you may or may not be breaking, and it's up to an individual prosecutor to prosecute.
That's very true. And I would point out I'd recommend, there was a law professor at Regent University. If you go to YouTube, if you haven't seen it yet, it went viral, but it's entitled "Why I Will Never Talk to the Police." And he's a lawyer, and he says, "I will never talk to the police." And then he goes into all types of things. And then he brings up a former cop to refute what he's saying. And the cop says, "You're right, because I'm going to ask you something, and then I'm going to ask you again, and then an hour later I'm going to ask you, and if your answers are at all different, I'm going to use that to catch you and impugn you." I mean, it's just all sorts of things. But it's a great, and the guy talks really, really fast, blah, 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 like the old FedEx commercial. So if it's that guy, you'll know it's the right video. But it has millions of views. It's fantastic. And it'd be good to watch, just so you can tell a cop why you're not going to talk to him, because the Regent law professor said you should. Go ahead, Alan.
Some more comments. This one from Captain Euro. If you're paranoid, don't send the email. Share the account with the person you wish to communicate with and save the messages as drafts. No. Bad idea. The reason why it's a bad idea is because that draft is still saved on the server, and at least in theory, they can get a court order to get it. Bad idea, don't do it.
Did you guys answer
the message and then delete it if you're on Facebook, because they'll record that too.
Did you guys answer Mark's question while I was getting my sandwich?
Mark's question. I don't think I've seen that one.
Are there any site speed issues with the user using an HTTPS site, especially with mobile?
There are some slight speed issues, but these days the browsers, the hardware, everything is really well tuned to deal with encrypted communication.
Is the speed issue just at the initial joining, or is it with each transaction?
It used to be with each transaction and at the start, and that's not nearly as big an issue as it used to be. Once upon a time it was an issue. I'm not going to say it wasn't. But more and more our hardware and our browsers have been tuned to deal with it a lot better.
George has a question for Alan. Is metadata something public or private? Do we have an expectation of privacy about it? I would think you have an expectation, and then Alan, obviously it was for Alan, but I think you have an expectation of privacy that only the government will have it and your phone company will have it. And that's the reason they can do it more easily than they could open up that letter that Alan mails to Cadeas, is because this is considered, they're getting something from Sprint or AT&T or Verizon, and it's a business transaction data. It's like the equivalent of your phone bill. And so it has less protection, just like commercial speech has less protection than you on your soapbox ranting against the government. But the reason they do it, you can argue that it's out of hand, you don't like it, whatever. But the reason they do it is because, like, remember after the Boston Marathon bombing, there was an immediate thing: are there more bombs? And so once they found out who the guys were, they were able to do something like this and look at their phone and whoever they called and find if, are there other people who are from the Caucasus. That's the rationale. You can agree or disagree with it. But when you find a bad guy, you want to know who he's talking to, especially if he's dead. You shot him and the other guy's in a hospital. He can't talk. He's got a tube down his throat. And you want to find out, right now, are there other bombs out there? Are there other co-conspirators that are right now, who we're looking for at the train station? And that's the reason they want this data. And if they have this data in some system, then they can put the number in and immediately get it and look and see if anyone else is on some kind of list, if there's anyone else from this region, if there's anyone else who attends whatever mosque or whatever he attended, that kind of thing.
I don't want you to keep going on and on and on.
I'm done.
I think we get it, but B, I'd point out that we have certain constitutional protections about that.
Well,
and
the
there are
FISA,
questions by some whether this crosses those lines.
which is interpreted by the U.S. Supreme Court, and the Chief Justice of said court personally appoints the members of the FISA court who authorize this. So who do you go when the sheriff is stealing your stuff?
Like I said,
who do you call?
There are questions. Anyway, I think that went beyond what George's question was is metadata something public or private? I think it's a good question. Again, I go back to my outside of the envelope issue. Is it public information who the envelope is going to? It kind of has to be. You don't really have a choice. Is the return address public? Yeah, but the return address may also be fake. Is the post office it was delivered, it was originally processed at public? And the date? Yeah, but how reliable, how useful is it? Good question, George, and I don't think there's any tremendously good answer on that. Bunch of other questions here. Mehdi points out, look, if you don't want to have your messages read, don't send clear text emails. And that's exactly what PGP and similar systems do, including this add-on that Cy talks about from Mozilla called Enigmail. I don't know that one specifically, but I'm willing to bet that it's essentially, if not exactly, PGP in the browser. I think the big deal about what Google and now Yahoo are offering is that you're going to get that PGP in the browser in every browser you go to. So even if you're at a public internet terminal, you may have some reassurances. I'm not sure I'd trust a public terminal still, but you have some reassurances that nobody else can read that information.
This is a smart business move, too. We shouldn't overlook that, because not only companies have a responsibility to their customers, they also have a responsibility to follow the law. And if a legal order comes in for them to give up data, then I understand that. And we had that happen when I was running an internet service provider back in the 90s. The cops would come, and I would tell them, yeah, we got something, yeah, we don't have something. But I got to have a subpoena. If it was a bad guy doing bad stuff. And so it's...
and yes,
if
that's exactly the point.
If they can find a legal way to render moot those requests and protect the customer without violating the law, they should do that. And so this has the first company to render all the NSA stuff moot, because like if you use their services, they can't get anything, period, is going to get a lot of new customers.
Well, here's one of the great things about this solution from Google is that it's always been there. You always had the choice of using Google servers and running your own PGP client and dealing with it that way. What they've now taken the next step and saying, look, the reason why PGP was never very well used, though, it's bulky, it's complicated to set up, it does require something, a little bit geek knowledge to understand it. What Google and now Yahoo are doing is saying, hey, anybody can do this. And they want to make it so that everybody does. Great question from Florian here, which will answer some more info. Does the PGP stuff break spam and virus filters? What about Google Now? Great question. Couple of answers. It depends on what level the PGP stuff you need to use is. PGP actually does it in two different forms. One is full encryption. The second is just a digital signature. And that reassures you so that this message that you got is actually from somebody that you know, and that it's coming from the person they claim to be. So from that aspect of it, and I'd point out that the digital signature is also present in the encrypted version. So from that perspective, it doesn't break spam and virus filters. It improves them. Because now you can say, hey, I only want to accept email messages not only that come from somebody on my contact list, but that are signed by that person. So I know it is from this person, legitimately, and not somebody who is pretending to be this person. So there's an addition. As for Google Now, that's a really good question. And yes, on some level, it probably does break Google Now. But what I wouldn't be surprised about is for messages that get delivered to your phone, if your phone will do the decryption of them. If now, if the various people that are sending now information, like airlines that are sending travel info, if they get into the habit of not just encrypting it, but signing it, and you tell your phone, hey, anything that's signed by Virgin America, you can trust it and include it in my Now. That's powerful. That gives you a lot, and gives these systems a lot more powerful without making it more complex. And I think that's been the problem with encryption all along, and I think we're getting to the point where they're solving it, and that's that we want to make it almost as easy as unencrypted.
Okay. Now I understand it completely. Thank you, Alan.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
No, you don't. But we don't have enough time, even in this show, to understand it completely.
At least not during the streaming portion.
Not even afterwards, because I need to get to bed at a decent hour tonight.
So next, I'm looking here.
But let me just wrap up by saying this has been a great conversation. Thank you, everybody, for all the comments. There are even a lot more comments that we did not get to. But thank you for all of them, because I really think this is an important conversation, and it's a good conversation. So thanks for all the comments. Thanks, Dan, for connecting the topics and discussing it tonight.
And I appreciate you encrypting your responses so that I could not understand them. To illustrate the... All right, next up is... This is funny. I was taking a selfie in this... I was doing a story on the parakeet girl, and I'm looking on Facebook here, and they did a picture of me taking a picture of myself at the shoot. That's funny. I'm showing it to them, but they can't. And the bird on my head literally matches my shirt, which you'll see when you guys look at the playback. Anyway, so that happened. All right, next up. Oh, I understand this topic. Let me slip out of moron mode. Okay, so Barnes & Noble partners with Google Shopping Express on same-day book delivery in 3 cities. The big difference, there's a big push for same-day delivery. That's the one advantage local stores have, right? You can go to the local food line or Safeway or Kroger or whatever you do, Walmart and Costco. You can buy something in an hour, you're back home. In my town, in 15 minutes, you're back home. So that's the one advantage they have over Amazon and these guys. So Amazon's got this push for shopping, but in a 60 Minutes interview, I think it was, he said it's really difficult to make a profit in that because it's so expensive. And so what's very different is Amazon typically has their own warehouses. So if you get a head of lettuce and milk or whatever Amazon, the shopping same day thing in their limited market does, it's coming from an Amazon warehouse. So that is a threat to Kroger, Walmart, and the aforementioned grocery stores. What Google Shopping Express is doing is they sort of want to be like the Uber of taxi cabs, but for grocery stores. And so they're putting the grocery store together with the consumer and a delivery third party, either them or a contractor. So they like the Google thing because it's just getting them more business. It's basically offering a service to deliver products. It's a fundamental difference between the two approaches. So that's my intro. So they're doing that with the groceries, and now here they're doing same-day book delivery in 3 cities with Barnes & Noble. Same thing. They're not doing their own warehouse like Amazon does and cutting out the big box. They're actually helping the big box retailer and just letting them do same-day delivery, something that Barnes & Noble should have figured out years ago, and but didn't. What are your thoughts on this, Alan? Or anybody else?
I know as far as what I've seen, a lot of it is just them taking the most basic, Google's taking the most basic baby steps into try and understand retail. But honestly, they've never got my full trust when it comes to retail. I never once have ever felt that Google understood retail or understood what I'm looking for as a customer. I'm still so soured from my purchase experience when I was trying to buy a Nexus 4 that I have no trust in what they're trying to do. They can get it back. They can start building trust again for me. But as of right now, I trust them so little that all I can do is just look in the sidelines. And also for them to offer it to only 3 areas, it's a very it feels like such a limited experience because basically what happens is for those 3 cities, if you actually go to that website, google.com/shopping/express, for those 3 cities, it'll work, but for everywhere else in the world, if you go to that website, you just enter your delivery zip, and then they put up some fun, half funny message, oh noes, you can't shop here. But that's going to be the experience that everyone else in the country gets when they get to go to that website. I don't know how useful that is, and also just working with one company, that feels so limited that I'm not sure even how much that's worth. I mean, first of all, who reads? A lot of people, even when they talk about books nowadays, they're really talking about audiobooks, so I don't even know how useful it is to get stuff from Barnes & Noble same day. And especially when you're thinking about Amazon, you're competing not just with regular books, but you're competing with the speed of just going to the Kindle and getting that ebook immediately. So you're competing same day versus same second.
Evan, you'd actually be surprised. From what I understand, the printed book industry is still massive.
Oh, it's definitely massive. I'm just wondering, first of all, I'm wondering the ability of Google to deliver that on that massive market to people. I don't know how much trust they have in terms of retail, because Amazon's so loved, and they started out with books. I don't know how much people are going to even look to Google to fulfill those desires. And then second, I mean, I lost my train of thought on the second one, but the first one, I'll
send you some of my meds, Kevin. I'll send you some of my meds.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know how much I trust Google to actually deliver on that desire. I have no doubt that books are still used. I know I use books. I know I read them, but I don't know how much interest this is going to garner for anyone.
I think there are a lot of people that are interested in it, if only because it's somebody standing up to Amazon and saying, hey, there are alternatives, and here's one of them.
Well, yeah, obviously that's a good one. But are they going to use Google Wallet to do it? Because I don't trust Google Wallet. I mean, I have a Google Wallet card. I'm trying to sell myself on Google Wallet.
Focus on Cadeas.
Wait, why you gotta focus on me?
You can't hide that sour look at this. You can't even fake the funk when it
I
comes.
had a good experience this week. They're working on it. I had a good experience. So
Okay, so they're going from crippled to just
they're
having.
still crippled. They're still crippled,
Okay.
but I had a nicer crippled scenario this time.
They're in therapy. They're working on it. They're trying to gain strength in their legs again. But I don't trust Google Wallet to work, especially if it's in a high volume scenario. With books, it's not going to be as high volume. Like with the Nexus 4 sale, there was an enormous amount of volume that was trying to hit them in a short period of time. With books, you're not going to really have that kind of high volume interest. But I still, as a consumer, I have a lack of trust. That's my biggest problem. And also, they're going to have to figure out how to handle their delivery method in multiple places. It sounds really like almost like a boutique service, because
It is a boutique service.
But
Here's
am
the
I
thing,
looking
though.
am I looking for a boutique service experience from a big company like Google, or am I looking for them to solve big data problems? It feels like it's Google trying to throw stuff up against the wall and seeing whether it sticks. But these aren't the things that I need them to try.
Well, keep in mind though, like a delivery service like this is going to, like, you can't put a delivery service like this in a small farm town and expect to make a lot of money. It's got to be an area that there are a lot of people that have delivered. Like New York City, everything's practically delivered, and so this would fit in a lot better in a place like New York City than it would be fitting in somewhere in some farm town in Philadelphia. Like that's why it can't be in every city. Now, yeah, I'll just stop there. That's why I don't. So I understand kind of why they only picked a few cities and just to experiment to see if people really would jump on it or not.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree that it only works in big cities. My question is, does it fit the mission of Google? And if it doesn't fit the mission of Google, would people look to Google to do that kind of stuff? I don't know that people would. I'm not that convinced. Just because you can do it doesn't mean that you necessarily should concentrate your efforts on it. Maybe you should take that effort and concentrate on other stuff. And especially how Google has a unique mission to make things global and make things as inclusive as possible in different countries. I don't know that having a company like that, where you think of as a worldwide, access company, and then offering this really tiny boutique service in these 3 different cities, I don't know that fits their. I don't know that it fits their narrative of what they want people to think of as Google. Because already with some of their services, they're only offered in the U.S. So everyone, as soon as Google offers a new service, everyone else in every other country in that announcement will say, why isn't this in this country? Why isn't it in this country? Why isn't it in this country? So now they've added a new feature that's only in the U.S. And so now people have another service that they can point to and say, okay, I can't get this in my country. I can't get this in my country. I can't get this in my country. I don't know that that's a narrative that they want to keep pushing forward, that they have a service, it's only U.S., and in this case even limited in the U.S. I don't know that that helps anything in terms of their people liking them.
I swear to God, I don't even know what freaking topic we're on.
I agree with Kevin.
Dan! Oh my God, Dan! That's exactly how the rest of us feel all the time.
Are we still talking about Barnes and Noble?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what I'm saying is that the Barnes & Noble deal isn't something that Google should be concentrating on. That's what I'm saying.
It's a test. It's a 3-market test, so they can only lose money in 3 markets instead of 3,000.
Yeah.
Which is better. You learn from tests. I don't know. It sounds, we'll see. But print's not dead. 30,000 people read the paper I put out this morning. or will. All right, so
Because it's free.
absolutely. Which studies have shown is the best way to receive something, Ms. Adger? Okay, next up. And because it's good. What the hell? I'm gonna put you on the sandwich cam. Don't make her laugh. She'll spit out sandwich. I tried. All right. Okay, so Google is going to revolutionize the book industry, the book distribution industry, the last mile of the book's journey into your hands. Okay, next up is, by the way, just a quick aside. Did you see where J.K. Rowling, there was that kid who witnessed her whole family get murdered in Texas? And she was shot, but she played dead. All like 4 of her siblings, both parents were murdered by this crazy person. And she said in an interview that she read the Harry Potter book and she was motivated. She was uplifted by that, little girl. And J.K. Rowling sent her a letter written by Professor Dumbledore, and because she said that when he said, when there's darkness, you can't see the light, it helps to turn it on or something. She sent a letter to her written by Dumbledore in like fancy, papyrus with colored ink, a magic wand, an admission to Hogwarts, and a list of things to buy. Like you need your spell book and stuff. That's awesome. It's neat to be famous and so smart like J.K. Rowling, and to be able to do things like that and have such an impact on this child who went through a horrific thing. So go print books. Alan's running commentary is actually more entertaining than the show in the show notes. Okay, Google tests new music ads. I saw this today, and I guess this is with Spotify, with Google Play Music, and with, I can't remember the third one. What's the deal with this?
Apple Beats.
Oh yeah, Beats by Dr. Dre. Dre's so cool. Coolness just drips off of him. He's badass. So anyway.
But why don't you tell us about this, Dan?
I don't know. Look, I printed the paper. I went to bed at 5 a.m. Then they called me from the Journal, and we print in Martinsburg, right? They're really efficient. Literally, I sent the files between 3:30 a.m. this morning, okay? The guy makes the plates. Then there's like 12 guys who run like a, I don't know, $8 million Gauss Urbanite printing press. Look it up. It's the size of a city block. Then they come out, 12,000 copies, 13,000, whatever it is. They come on like 4 pallets, and they bring them to one of my sales reps' garage, and there was a new driver, and I got a call at 8:30 a.m. I've just gone to bed at 5. I don't even know what time zone I'm in. She asks me for directions and the address, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to speak in complete sentences because there's some guy driving around. And he was at a car dealer like 15 minutes away trying to figure out where he was. And so then I went back to sleep for a couple hours, and so I'm kind of groggy, and no, I don't know exactly about the ad test. And I'm going to be a real zombie on the radio tomorrow. He makes fun of me too, Alan, so don't feel bad.
Well, yeah.
Dan, first of all, I got to tell you, Dan, there are a lot of people I feel bad about when I make fun of them. They're not.
I'm not one of them. I definitely have first world problems. So there's that.
Yeah,
I feel bad for you, Dan. I do. I do. Sometimes I wish I was over there with Alan so I could just duct tape his freaking mouth shut sometimes. But,
Like when he talks for 40 minutes and I talk for 3 minutes and he tells me to shut up because I'm going on too long. like then? Like when that happens? Like how much longer till...
Hi, Dan.
I'm just kidding, Alan. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Maybe if you were on topic.
I'm ADHD. All right, so tell us, anybody, what do you think of these music ads? Anyone?
Yeah, I'm seeing those music ads now. This is what I think Google really needs to concentrate on, as opposed to trying to even test those boutique services in a couple of different cities. This is what I think they really need to push to do, because this is what they're really good at, and what other companies just aren't as good at, which is that if you just do a regular search, you can get some kind of action that you can perform on that search immediately that would lead to buying something. And that's something that Amazon can't really do. Amazon, you definitely have to go there with the intention of buying something. But with Google, you may just be looking up information on the Beatles, and you might have just initially been thinking about going to the Wikipedia page. But then if you see this ad on the right to go buy some of the music, then you might be encouraged, instead of just going to the Wikipedia page, you realize at least that there is an option that you could get some stuff. And one of those places that it's really important that they put the Google Play Store at the top of those 3 listings, but it gives you the option of knowing that if you search for an artist, you could get that music right then if you wanted to. And that's more broad than Amazon could do. And so this is something that I'd like to see a lot more of from Google. Not just try and do those boutique things, but just take the big data, just anything you're searching for, and then just on the right side, here's places where you could buy it from. I really like this a lot, and I'd like to see more of it.
That's a good analogy, the Wikipedia thing, because it's relevant and it's helpful. You know what I mean? You're trying to find out, like, you know, were the two Van Buren, God, what the hell, Martin Van Buren, were they related? You know, and it puts the Wikipedia thing right there. If you're looking for, I want to get a song, puts the options right there. Just make it saves you clicks, saves you steps. Go ahead, Alan.
2 points, Kevin. The first is I would remind you that Google's also gotten in trouble for doing things like this before, particularly in Europe. So they're treading on very, very careful ground here. The second is talking about contrasting this with the previous story. I think both is illustrative, is interesting, and actually proves that you're wrong about boutique, about the delivery service. The reason why I think it proves that you're wrong is if you did a search for something like, I'm trying to think of baby strollers, or if you did a search for a book, okay, under this model, they would be able to show you, ebook delivery, but the only place they could show you printed book delivery would be Amazon.com. They couldn't give you a Google Play equivalent of a physical book delivery because there isn't one. Under what they're looking to do with the shopping system, there will be. So if you're doing a casual search for something that happens to also be a product, they want to be able to have a Google Play equivalent for that product. And these boutique delivery systems are the first steps in doing that.
Well, okay, you want to have boutique delivery. You want to have the business at the other end come to you as well. It would be nice, but if you can set yourself as the place to look for those sales, I think that's a much more important thing to do. I honestly, if you could buy music and you could search on Google and then get it from Amazon, to me that's more important than just knowing that you could go to Amazon and get it. I think that supersedes sometimes what Amazon is trying to do.
Yeah, but Kevin, look at it this way. What commission do you think Google is getting on every link that goes to Beats?
I don't know.
Can we say that it's 30%?
I don't even know.
No, we couldn't say that it's 30% because that's Apple's cut. Could we say that it's 1% maybe, if that? And yet if you go to Google Play, Google's getting a 30% cut. So it's clear they want, they are willing to have others there because they don't want to be labeled a monopolist. And I think they're also fair-minded. But at the same time,
they're also realists.
I think they want to get that money.
They know that there's some people who are into Spotify or Rhapsody to go or whatever, and they're absolutely not going to. It's just like if I can buy something on Amazon, I'd rather do it there than set up a separate account with Adorama or Newegg just to buy that one product. I'm going to look on Amazon first because I know how the system works. I trust them. I like them. I got a good history with them. I can look up all, what's that wire that I bought 3 months ago? I can look it up.
Kevin's point, if you use Kevin's illustration that most people aren't necessarily going to be going shopping for something. They're going looking for general information, and they'll discover they could buy it. If they can then get that instant gratification through Google and some other third party, will they do so? And I agree with Kevin that I think they will. The problem is I think Google also wants to position themselves as a possible third party.
Oh no, they definitely do, but I don't think they're good at it. I think they're really great at directing people places. I don't think they're really great at selling things, and so I think playing more to this will play more to their strengths, and then they can build at the back end more sales, more retail experience.
But Kevin, here's the thing: the fact that they're searching, the fact that a person is searching for something, and finds this purchase now link as a convenience to them. Google's just sold them something, and yet they're not getting the sales commission for it.
No, they're not
getting for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're not getting the sales commission, but they're getting the eyeballs before Amazon gets the eyeball. And so initially, they're not going to be able to capitalize on that. But if they establish themselves as the eyeballs before anybody else's eyeballs, then at any point when they actually get that retail experience and they get the store behind it, they could steal that by putting themselves first.
But in order to get that, they've got two choices. They either buy Amazon, which isn't going to happen, or they learn how to get that retail experience, and that's what they're doing. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, but
let's not kid ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves.
And they're starting in a hole too, because even selling online, they've messed it up so badly with that Nexus 4 sale. They have to build some trust there. So they're definitely starting slow, but I guess you do have to start someplace.
Google does some things very well, but let's not kid ourselves. Google Play is not a serious competitor to Rhapsody or Spotify or these other services at all. But they're there, and I think that it's like they know people are using these other services dramatically more, and so they'd rather get part of something than all or nothing. So they're going to partner with them, and they probably, as Alan alluded to, for the regulators who are just lying in wait to pounce whenever Google does anything, they're going to put theirs up there, but they're also going to allow them to basically pay to have an ad or whatever there, and they can make a little chump change. Make something, because they're going to get it from Spotify anyway, or Rhapsody or whatever. iTunes. I don't think iTunes is part of it, but Beats is. So there. All right. Anything else on this? Okie doke. Please don't all talk at once. I got to cut this off because my thing is crazy here. It's that stupid animated GIF in my profile. If I open Google Plus, it ruins my computer. All right, next up is a first step toward more global email. What this is about is they want it's basically been in English, right, since the internet began, and they want to let you send email in like Arabic characters or Chinese characters, Japanese.
Not just send email, but have email addresses that are in the non-Roman characters.
I want to get Cadeas's view on this. Here's the deal, because Cadeas is a business guy, and he also has a lot of friends in Japan, so he's uniquely qualified. I was born in Okinawa, Japan, but I left at 6 months, so I'm not an expert. Although I do carry the height of the Japanese. So anyway, here's the deal. The problem is this. If two Japanese guys are emailing each other and they can use their Japanese characters, that's fine. That's great. Let's open it up. But if you're trying to conduct business, the international language of business is English. And I'm lucky to speak English. I speak some Spanish and some French and Greek and stuff, but English is my main language. And the problem is that if you had a website and you had some cool product I wanted to buy or some service I wanted to employ or what have you, and you had this email address here, I have no clue how the hell to type it. Nor do I have the keyboard. Maybe I do. I don't know. I'm not aware of it. Would I have to
Can't
switch?
select, copy, and paste?
What if I'm mobile and I see it on a billboard, right?
Oh, that's true.
So that would be a huge fail. Now I could totally see this in unison. Like in a lot of countries, like in Ireland, you'll see street signs in Gaelic and then English. In a lot of countries, you see that. In China, you see that, right? You'll see the Chinese name of the restaurant, and then underneath it, you say what it is, like a transit station or whatever it is. So I could see that being cool, you know, an option. But I don't see it. If you're trying to sell something internationally and you put up Chinese characters, you talk about fail, because I don't know how to do it unless they conquer that problem. But I think it should be an option, right? And I think you'll see them simulcast. I mean, one above the other. What do you guys think? Kadeus, you go to Tokyo all the time to meet chicks, and eat fish, sushi.
All right, so
You're a resident Japanese expert. You're we can't get a Japanese co-host, so we got to get you. You know.
So my take on this is, this is kind of one of those things that, from one angle, I feel that it's too late for it to matter to anybody, because just about everybody has went with the Roman characters for everything. But also, and you already said what I was going to say, is how would you type that? You have no way of typing that other than copying and pasting. So if we're doing a billboard, then I guess somebody has to put a QR code up there so you can scan it, and then it'll just automatically write. So like it's kind of unnecessary. I think this is an unnecessary change, and it's going to limit people to only be able to comment within or communicate within their own country.
I got a question, Kadeus. I'll do you one better. Why don't you demonstrate using Glass how you would, using Google Now, tell it to send a message to that the from address?
Well, what I have to do with names that are not normally pronounced is what I have to do is copy and paste them into Google, and then have Google say it back to me, so I know how Google says it. So, for example, I have a Chinese friend. His name is Jizhong, but when I paste it in Google, Google says Xixing. So in order for me to send him a text message, I have to say Xixing Gu, and then that makes it go.
God.
So it's really weird. It's really weird. So yeah, this is not something that you can do.
Yeah, but I do think, like you said, for intra-country communications, right, on a personal level, I think it should be an option. And they should,
it can be an option,
allow
but
it
honestly,
to work.
More than likely, nobody's going to use it, only because they've already been on the internet so long, and they already got their Roman characters already in place, and nobody's just going to use it. And plus, people have friends all over the world and stuff, and then they have to start doing a lot of jumping and turning cartwheels just to send an email. So people aren't going to do this. This was something that if they wanted it, they should have had it way back when. So I feel like it's kind of too late to even matter at this point.
Kevin, I know you're a worldly dude. Are you cool with learning the Chinese alphabet, which consists of like 3,200,000,000,000 different characters? Slight exaggeration.
I kind of like the idea that they're pushing some more of their language features into some of their main products. It's nice that the feature is there, but it's also nice that you don't have to use it if you don't want to. It's just an option. But this is something that they've been pushing for a lot. They've been really pushing global languages in their services, and so this is just another way for them to include that. So in that sense, I like the fact that they're doing it. It's definitely true that pretty much everyone has an email address now, but I'm not sure how many people wouldn't come up that are a couple of years behind the people who have emails now and would start to use it more because they get this feature. Probably people would have gotten around it, but they might feel a little bit more comfortable using that. But it's just nice to have as an option, and this is something that they're good at, so I like seeing it.
And like I said on the other thing, this is a good business move. Because it,
absolutely.
For Gmail, it makes Gmail more attractive than other providers, except local providers, which I assume like I'm sure there are Chinese. I'm sure that all the major Chinese email providers that are China-based, homegrown Chinese providers, you can use Chinese characters, right? So this makes them
it
more
also
attractive.
reminds me how much Google has an advantage over Bing in different languages. Like if you try and do different language searches in Bing, it's a total disaster. You get almost nothing. If you do it in Google search, you get much more. And so this is just another advantage that they're pushing over other search engines.
Okay, any other thoughts? All right, so Pinterest now has messages. I didn't put this in. I didn't see this until right before the show. Who can talk about this?
Michael Banks promised he would be here tonight to talk about this.
Why don't we postpone this till next week so we don't look like complete morons? Is that cool?
Yeah, because I don't use Pinterest.
Okay. We'll pin this topic so we can...
Where are we pinning it, Dan? Where are we pinning it?
I don't know. All right, so that's on hold.
I can give you a few places. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. The title of this program is Pam's Medicine Cabinet. All right, so next up is the
the story you've all been waiting for.
I gotta tell you something. And this is semi off topic, but not entirely off topic. Remember my Senator George Allen, and when I was a political consultant in the 80s or early 90s, I actually did a TV commercial for him, or with him in it. He was the guy. I'm George Allen. It was for a candidate, and I wrote the script, and George Allen did it. He was running for governor, I think, or whatever. He was congressman. Then he ran. He was considered a top tier presidential candidate. He got in this big scandal when there was some guy from a Democratic camp who was filming him or videotaping him, and he referred to him. He said, "This macaca here," right? Well, I didn't know what the hell a macaca was, and it was a dark-skinned guy. I don't know if he was Indian or Asian or black, whatever he was, but he was criticized, and he lost the election because of it. And then when I realized this monkey that was in this is actually what a macaca is, so he was calling. I mean, it's a Republican rally, so this is probably the only dark-skinned guy in the crowd, right? So he's calling this guy a macaca, which refers to this crazy-looking monkey. So now I'm even more offended by George Allen's comments now that I know what this is. So, Alan, tell us. I'm going to try to get the picture ready so I can share it, but this is our YouTube thumbnail picture. This is actually, it's funny and silly and actually an interesting question. So, Alan, give us the background while I find this picture.
So, the issue behind this story is a professional photographer went to, I believe it was Africa, to take some wildlife pictures, set up his camera, and as he was setting up some other equipment, a monkey came over, started fiddling with his camera, and eventually took a whole bunch of selfies. And some of them are actually really, really good photographs.
Hundreds of selfies.
Yeah, most of which were crap. But a couple of which were really, really good. Guy came back. He publishes them. He gets some attention on them. And Wikipedia, or more specifically the Wikimedia organization, and apparently Google Plus too, according to Psy, saw the picture, incorporated it into theirs, and are refusing to do a takedown on it. When he requested, he said, "It's mine. I have a copyright on it. You have no right to reproduce it." Wikimedia is saying, "You didn't take the photo. A monkey took the photo. And a monkey cannot hold copyright on a photo. Therefore, there is no copyright on this photo, and it is in the public domain."
Here we go. This goes back to my big battle with you and Pam a long time ago about this. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous that it comes down to this silliness.
Cadeus, if we're watching a, let's say they had Google, let's say you had your camera, we're both standing on the sidelines in Dallas, Texas, a little over 50 years ago, and John F. Kennedy's motorcade's coming down, and I say, hey, can I see that camera? That's pretty cool. And I pick up the camera and I hold the camera and I get the killer, the shot of John F. Kennedy getting assassinated, right? Let's say it was your movie camera and I got that video footage. It was the only one taken, right? It's your camera, your film, you bought it. It's in my hands, and I film it and I get this stuff. All of a sudden, everyone wants it. They're going to pay me $1 million, right? Who owns that footage, right?
You do.
I do because I was holding the camera.
Yes.
You as in the person filming it, or you as camera owner?
The person filming it.
Okay.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it?
No.
I can see both sides to that, actually.
But I don't see it as a black and white thing. I mean, I see it as like a gray area.
Right.
Because you paid for the camera. Let's say you were. What if he's a reporter? What if he's a reporter? Okay, from the local Dallas TV station, and he's a video camera.
Already well established.
Well, no. He's a reporter. He's got owned by Dallas, Texas, News 8, whatever it is, and it's the TV station's camera and film. Right back then it was film, and I am in a photography club, and Cadeus knows me because he's in the same photography club. Cadeus is a reporter or a cameraman for the station. It's the station's equipment, right? He's there doing a shoot. And then I just say, Cadeus, man, can I check your camera out? Right? And then I just like hold it up, and then all of a sudden some, a meteorite falls or Kennedy gets shot, whatever it is. I own the copyright to that. So I would have a right to sue the TV station if they used it, technically, if you carry this to its logical conclusion under that not too absurd scenario.
Except the station can make the argument that they gave the equipment to the reporter with a good faith understanding that he was a work for hire, therefore any action that he did subcontracted it out to you.
You can't be an employee if you don't get paid. Nor was there any agreement. It was just like, man, that's cool. That's that new.
So you were in possession of stolen goods when you took the copyrighted photo?
No. He loaned it to me. I was checking it out. I said, "Oh, can I see your new Panasonic?" He's
not legally empowered to loan it to you. Therefore, you stole it. That, or it was a conspiracy for him to give you stolen goods.
Well, I'm glad Glenn Beck could make it.
Yeah,
I hear you though. It's a gray area. This is not a. If this were litigated, I don't know where. I think that God. I hope this. There's a lawsuit, and I hope it goes to Supreme Court because I would.
They probably just
personally
pull the card
attend.
That he's not a person, and therefore the monkey couldn't have possibly taken it because he's not a person. They'll probably pull that card or something.
No, because it's obvious that he did take it. And
that's he wouldn't count as a person. So
I think if this went to the Supreme Court, who would win, Alan?
I have no idea, to be honest.
I think the guy would win, not the monkey.
I think the guy's got better chance at it, especially because you can cite a lot of other scenarios where a person is not themselves hitting the trigger.
How can you be protected by laws if you're not subject to them, if you're an animal?
You are subject. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's not the point, though. The monkey in this case is neither protected nor subject to it. The point, what Wikimedia is saying is a picture magically got taken. The person did not take the picture. Therefore, it's in the public domain. Now, the counter-argument to that, however, is that any camera that is operating independently of anything else is creating pictures that are in the public domain. And that's a legal quagmire that you start heading down.
I think the guy should own the rights to the picture.
I think it's clear the guy should own the rights to the picture. He placed the camera there. He set the camera up in such a way that it would be used. The fact that the trigger mechanism was physically pressed by the monkey is not relevant.
The fact is, copyright. Let's look at why there's a copyright. The reason there's a copyright, Cybernaut, the monkey cannot afford a lawyer. George Cozy, if you run a camera and take a good picture of it, with it, it is your picture, not the picture of the guy who rented you the camera. This wasn't a rental, right? So it's a gray area because it was a monkey.
It was a loan.
It was a loan, and I just now if okay, here's the deal. If I said to Alan, "Can I borrow your Nikon? I'm gonna go shoot a football game." No money changes hands. There's no verbal or written agreement, other than I bring the camera back in one piece, right? And I use your SD card, and then I go and I do my thing, and I load on my computer. Then clearly, I would own the copyright to that, right?
Let me paint 3 scenarios for you, and you tell me under which of these scenarios, and I'll open this up to anybody else on the panel. 3 scenarios. All of them are the guy goes into the jungle, takes his equipment, sets his equipment up, points it in a particular direction. In scenario 1, he's standing there pressing the shutter button continuously. In scenario 2, he has set it up so the trigger is automatically fired every 5 seconds. And in scenario 3, he has it set up so that the trigger automatically fires whenever something is near it.
In all 3 scenarios, he would own the copyright because he initiated the triggering.
Okay. He has essentially initiated the triggering. Well, here's the thing. Under scenario 3, he hasn't initiated the triggering.
Yes,
the fact that something else wandered into the area is what initiated the triggering.
If you set up a wildlife camera, which is very common, to see, bears and deer, I could do it in my backyard, and God knows what we'd see. Clearly, I was the one who initiated the process. I set up a timer, or I set up the facility to respond based on movement.
And that's clearly what he did in this case as well.
No, he set it up, and the monkey actually was clicking, right?
The monkey was hitting the trigger, but that's no different than the monkey hitting the trigger if he walked into the field of vision.
What's the difference between the monkey physically pressing the trigger and the monkey passing into the field of vision and
None.
the camera responding to movement by the human who initiated that?
None.
Especially if he sought out if he knew the monkey might press the trigger, if he had anticipated this, and he purposefully left the equipment there, hoping that the monkey would pick it up and play with it and do some selfies, right? That might have changed the meaning of this. I think Wikimedia is on shaky ground because they're so popular and do such good work. I mean, they're like the Salvation Army of the internet. I think that they realize this guy's unlikely to sue them. But if he does, and it went up to courts, I think that the guy would win. I think that Wikimedia is legally wrong. And I would be shocked if Matthew Rappaport, and since you chastised me in a previous appearance to make sure I pronounce the T, I did it right tonight, I would be shocked if you do not have an opinion on this, Mr. Rappaport.
I think the whole thing is ridiculous. There's my opinion.
It is, but it's ratings gold. So,
Tom Eagle,
play with this.
Play with the monkey.
Yes.
Touch the monkey.
Spank it.
Spank the monkey. Yeah, I don't. The monkey taking selfies. I mean, it's clickbait. I mean, but you want to click it, so I don't know if it is. But I was going to talk about the Pinterest. I don't want to change your topic, so it's not.
No, it is interesting though. But what do you think?
The fact that you're clicking on it, is that triggering a copyright? Does that mean the copyright of the page you clicked on is owned by? Never mind. Go ahead, Matt.
Right,
Be honest.
exactly.
Did you join specifically because you wanted to address the monkey issue?
Of course I did. You know me. Me and monkeys. We go way back.
We're all monkey whores.
We were all monkeys.
I admit. What do you think? Seriously,
wait, is that racist? That sounds weird. What?
We're talking about macaca. It's only racist if George Allen says it.
Matthew Macaca?
What do you think? Who owns the copyright to the photo? Though it actually is a legal. It's an interesting legal question. I mean, it's a silly story and it's obviously clickbait. I mean, I made the YouTube thumb, just to get people to watch.
Right.
But let's be honest here. It is an interesting legal question. Who owns the copyright? The guy leaves his equipment there,
Right.
and then did he go off to take a leak, or did he do it specifically to? Hopefully,
I didn't get that far into the story.
But what do you think? You haven't studied this for hours. You haven't done your prep for this. I'm just kidding.
I saw. Yeah, right. No, I saw the story. I just didn't. I didn't bother to research it.
If you left your equipment in the woods, right? You paid for the camera, you paid for the tripod, you paid for the film or the digital media, whatever it is, and the monkey comes up, or some wildlife comes up and starts clicking and takes several hundred pictures. Most of them are garbage, out of focus leaf, whatever. But there's some really good shots that he did as well. And Wikimedia said that he did a takedown request. They said no because the monkey fired the trigger on the camera, and thus you don't own the copyright. The monkey doesn't own the copyright because he's not a legal entity. He's not a human adult 18 or older. Although copyright, I imagine, would apply to underage. I don't know how that works. If a 12-year-old takes a picture, I imagine she's still up to... That may be the only legal right you have underage. I'm not sure. That's an interesting question. Maybe our commenters can answer that. But what do you think?
I think that's correct. Copyright is copyright.
Who owns it? I mean, is it public domain, or does this Mr. Slater guy own this? And I can understand why he's pissed, right? I can sympathize with him for sure.
I mean, the person that owns the equipment, that's his picture, it is, no? You ask a question and you get up. I was going to go about Pinterest. I mean, the guy that owns the camera, it's his picture. I mean, it's his camera, right?
Yeah, but the Wikimedia is stipulating that because he didn't take the... In other words, if I borrow your camera and I get a shot of the local mayor getting a pie put in his face, or a meteorite, or whatever it is, that I own the copyright because I took the picture.
No, I don't agree.
Alan, what's the law? Or what? That's Wikimedia's contention. I agree with you. I think if I said to you, let me borrow your camera at no cost, with no contract, no agreement, hey, can I borrow your camera? And then I went to a football game and I took some pictures and then I uploaded them to Facebook. You couldn't sue me and say that you own the copyright because it was your camera, right? Because you loaned me the camera. But in this case, he had his camera set up. He did not grant the monkey permission. He didn't chase him away. But Wikimedia's contention is that because he did not press the trigger button, that the monkey took the picture, so he doesn't have the copyright, so it's public domain. That's the gist of the story. I think that's shaky legal ground. But I think that if this did go to the courts, would there be legal ramifications that might not necessarily be rosy?
I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that the monkey took the picture, since nobody saw the monkey take a picture, right?
He concedes that the monkey took the several hundred pictures. That's not in dispute. Wikimedia says that if whoever, it's not who owns the camera, it's whoever pulls the trigger and takes the photo, they are the copyright holder. They are the creator of the work, right?
Unless they're working for someone else.
Let's take it to this conclusion. If I borrow Alan, if I borrow your microphone and your recorder and I sing a song, do you own the copyright? Absent any agreement that I'm renting your equipment?
Have we not said multiple times no already? Oh, good. Oleg is here, so we can rehash this again.
How come there's no move on button? That's what I want to know.
Where is Oleg?
He wants to show off where he is.
Let's see where he is. He
looks like he's at a concert.
Or some sort of event. Okay, so unfortunately,
as we're looking at all,
joined us to actually talk about the Pinterest stuff.
Yeah, so as we're looking at Oleg, just real quick, Pinterest is not. I don't think it's that exciting. They launched a messenger. It's a messenger. That's what it is. You can message people that you follow on Pinterest, and they can message you like an instant messenger. You could launch it by sending a pin to any number of your contacts. I'm not sure if you can do group, but if not, you will be able to do group chats. But definitely one-on-one, and I think links work. I tried it out just now with the links. But that's all it is. Will it make Pinterest more social? I don't know. But when you do share a pin, you could share a pin to these chat messages. People could then click the heart button, which is basically like the Pinterest equivalent to like. And I'm going to guess there's going to be more spam now that Pinterest has a messenger, is my guess. But that's basically it. The little people's profile pictures show up on the side. of your Pinterest, and you can click on each one, and it pops up a chat box where you can exit it out. And that's it. That's the entire exciting or not so exciting Pinterest update. Do you guys think that this will launch Pinterest into great new heights?
I don't use it. I mean, I checked it out. It's beautiful. It looks like a great time waster, but it's not something I'm active on. That or Tumblr. Or, I mean, they're neat, but I'm not a big Pinterest user. I couldn't address this. Anybody else use Pinterest? Do you use it regularly, Matthew?
No, not regularly, but just being in social. I mean, I use it an okay amount, but I pin stuff, but I don't spend time there, if that makes sense, just to be active. Stuff that I like, but really, I mean, I will say that Pinterest is up there with Twitter as far as referral traffic. I do think, and news organizations are using it more. So, and I think Pinterest actually claimed at one of their own conferences that they were like the #2 or #3 social network. I don't know how or why they did that, but they did do it.
I don't think of them as a social network. I think of them. I mean, they certainly have social features. You can share things. You can like or whatever they call it. You know, I don't know what it is. Like Google Plus.
You can chat with people now.
You can shout at
social?
them.
You can chat.
Chat.
You can. Yeah, that's what the messenger is. You can chat with people. So hi Oleg. Yes. You're
okay.
You know, it'd be really great in a Hangout on Air to actually preview. I know, we're not in a Hangout on Air. We're in a regular Hangout, but to preview in the Hangout somewhere in a little box. We used to have it way back when to see what the audience sees. You know what I'm saying? To see what the main screen is. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, we don't care.
A great comment here on the last topic from Travis Stanford. He said, he said, for the famous selfie at this year's Oscars, it was determined that Bradley Cooper, who took the picture, this is the one with Ellen DeGeneres, and it was a Samsung phone, and it was basically a paid thing, that Bradley Cooper, who actually she handed the phone to and he took the selfie, that he owned the rights to the photo because he took the picture.
That's interesting, because I would have expected that everyone who walked into that theater signed away their copyrights to the MPAA.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, and I don't know what he says it was determined.
Sorry,
if that means like the court did it, or...
I would say to ABC, because they broadcasted.
No, but ABC acknowledges that the Academy owns the rights to everything in there.
Yeah, ABC, just like, you know, Netflix will get rights to... They'll buy rights for X amount of time to do a movie, and then they'll, you know, then that expires. ABC has the rights to broadcast it live, but I've never seen a rerun of one. So I'm guessing that the Academy, you know, they grant them the rights to do it live, and that's it. And the promos and stuff, and the interviews up, you know, and afterward and stuff like that. So,
right.
Okay, so there we go. Pinterest. All right.
Exciting.
AT&T Uverse with Gigapower is expanding. This is, I don't know if they came first before Google Fiber. I doubt it. But they are currently in Austin only, and they're expanding. Is this the beginning of carriers being forced through public opinion and news stories about Google Fiber into actually delivering really, really fast internet? Is this the beginning of a trend? Or what? What do you guys think?
Well, to answer your question first, Google Fiber was before AT&T Gigapower. Is that what it is? Gigapower? Yeah, Gigapower.
Uverse.
So, or no, I think the product's called Gigapower.
Okay.
From AT&T. But the I lost my train of thought then. Dang it. They were first.
Am I contagious?
Yes.
What the hell?
I'm sorry?
Am I contagious? What the hell?
No, you just threw me way off. You had me clarifying other stuff. But the issue is that now that Google has encouraged people to do this, more people are going to start coming out the woodworks laying their fiber. I think consumer side of things too in some areas in the country. So this is something that Google encouraged. This is kind of what they were gunning for, and so Because in the end, they still win everything, regardless of what service people sign up for. Everybody's still, for the most part, using Google in some fashion or another. Whether it's YouTube, whether it's Google Search, whether it's anything else, they're using it in some fashion or another. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Okay.
Anybody else have any opinions on this?
Thank you, Alan. I'll be right back.
And I will say, Overland Park, Kansas is another city that just decided to sign up for it and got approved, and they're going to be one of the initial rollouts for that area.
How close are they to Kansas City?
That is Kansas City. It's just one of the suburbs. It's actually one of the cities I lived in too. So.
Is it one that does have Google Fiber or is getting Google Fiber?
The Google Fiber started being laid out in the area. Some people are getting it. Right now they're getting installed. So and this is one of the areas that they actually should have started in, and not downtown Kansas City where people don't even have computers. so yeah.
So this is an area where there's going to be some real competition.
Really?
Now, what is it? I don't know how much you looked into the service. Are they actually offering anything besides gigabit, or are there?
It doesn't say, and neither does price.
Television options. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it doesn't say that, and neither does price. But the UVerse portion of the service does have television already. So all they're doing is they have the giga power package basically. So I would assume the normal tiers down below is there, but I don't know. You go from what is I think it's 400 or hold on. I think it's 45 megabits. So it's 45. I guess you go from 45 to a gigabit. I don't know if they have anything in the middle there. So.
Well, you raise a good question about price. I mean, one of the things that Google is doing is they're essentially offering gigabit at lower speed prices. You think UVerse is going to be able to compete on that front?
I think what they'll do, they'll probably stand on their name and just say, "Hey, we are who we are." And well, yeah, I mean, AT&T's been around for how many years, and you know them as an internet product where you're not really sure what Google's doing. So. Yeah, I could see them just saying our prices is this and this is why, especially in the Kansas City area.
Does UVerse have a good name?
Yeah, but that also depends on where you live too. So
okay.
The areas that I've lived in, they've had a name, so they're usually the service to pick.
Okay. Any
and
thoughts
in Kansas City, before Google came in, UVerse was the service to have, and it was the best service to have, and it was the most expensive in the area, and people still signed up for it. So I can see them not altering anything and going from there.
Anybody else have any thoughts on this?
Pam?
Why does Kansas get all this stuff?
Wait. What was the topic? My daughter just came home, so I skipped out to go give her a hug and ask her about her day. So. What were we talking about?
UVerse, fiber, fun stuff.
Oh. Well.
I was just joking, Pam.
No, my real opinion is FiOS, for example. Verizon rolled it out and then they stopped, right? So only some of us get it. And I have a feeling that the same thing's going to happen to AT&T. Because it's AT&T, right? Right?
Yes, it's
okay.
Google.
Right.
AT&T. Yeah.
Because what they laid is cable, right? They didn't lay anything that could handle super high speed, so they're going to have to put in fiber. And if they, if it doesn't become cost effective, the outlay of money is going to be too high, and I think they're going to stop.
Now, what I found interesting is most of their services in most of the areas, and probably all the areas that they've picked, they already have fiber to the neighborhood. So it's just a matter of them running fiber from wherever it stopped on up to people's house. So they're not spending as much as Verizon was spending when they said, okay, we're going to do this area, and then they was just running fiber from nowhere all the way from wherever it started to the house.
Yeah.
So they're going to spend less than what Verizon spent. So they may be able to. Plus, it's AT&T. They're going to be able to handle it. So.
We hope so, because laying out the fiber is what's important for all of us. Even if they stop, they're going to put fiber somewhere, right? And so then the next company won't have to do it. So eventually, by the time our children are grandparents, maybe they'll have enough fiber to cover a good portion of the country. And of course, there'll be something else that's so fast that we're going to need something else, like, I don't know, some sort of liquid something or other. The next big thing after fiber is going to be something, magic or something. I don't know.
Probably involving Elon Musk and or
Facebook.
Richard Branson.
Yeah, exactly.
Elon Musk is a PR genius. He said that thing like, artificial intelligence can be more dangerous than nuclear weapons. I mean, he says these things and they go viral. He's just a PR genius. Okay, so we're pro fiber. We've decided we're partisan on this issue. We've taken a stand. And although I swear to God, I don't know what the hell you could do with it. But then who knew what you could do with faster computers? All of a sudden, YouTube, when I had my 286, I couldn't use, there was no streaming video. It wasn't possible. But then when the internet got faster, all of a sudden some guys said, hey, we can, let people upload videos and let people watch them on their computers. That wasn't possible in the earlier computers. So the hardware always precedes the applications. And so we're going to see that with truly fast broadband. All right, next up, Twitter has quietly removed Bing translation from its mobile apps and web platform. And Twitter's also, is it the same story here? Twitter is testing showing you tweets from people and brands other than those you follow. The second one, Discovery, I think makes sense, and it's kind of an extension of what they've been doing anyway. You've been, you follow, I follow Pam, and it might say you should also consider following Sally and John and Sarah, who share similar things or are connected with Pam. That's been going on for a while, so I don't think that's as big a deal. And the Bing translation thing, I think, was quietly rolled out and quietly withdrawn, and I don't think there's comments, so we don't know if it's an abandonment or a temporary whatever. It could be they're pulling it for a while or permanently. I have no idea. And then there's a question of, should these big companies be getting into areas that they're not good at just because they hate Google, and Google's really good at it, but they've pissed Google off with stupid Scroogle dads with B-list pawn TV show alleged celebrities, and so they can't make a deal with Google for that, so they have to try to reinvent the wheel, and their wheel isn't round, if any of that makes sense. So how do you approach this, Alan? And I've never used the feature, so I have no idea if it was any good or not.
I honestly don't know. I don't know. I think very little about Twitter. To me, what it looks like is it's kind of trying to do friends of friends type stuff on the second point. The first one kind of vaguely seemed like, I'm not sure why they got rid of Bing, to be honest. And it's,
maybe they just ran out of their API. Maybe it was just an experimental thing, and you only get a certain number of pings. And I think they hit it, and then they just like, okay.
But I don't think
that. But I mean, at a time when Facebook is incorporating it, and Google's got theirs, Twitter would seem to be at a disadvantage if they don't offer translation services from.
But they only offered it for a short time, though, right? Wasn't it like maybe 2 months or so? Maybe they just didn't want to renew.
I don't know.
They do have deals. Remember that Google famously cut them off. They had Google Instant for a time, and then Twitter wanted a bunch of money for access to the pipe, and they didn't come to terms, so they just removed it, and then Twitter bitched about it, and Google was like, if they'll give it to us for free or for a reasonable price, we'll do it, but so be it, screw you. And that was a cool feature where you could go into Google, and those results were coupled with the other ones. All right, so obviously that what I call ratings bonanza topic there. FCC is requiring text to 911 on all carriers. though most 911 centers can't receive them. This is tricky. On the face, you roll your eyes, you know, typical government fail, but when the government sets these systems up, and we've covered them, they have to be bulletproof, right? Because when your uncle's dying of a heart attack, you call 911, you want it to go through 100% very rapidly. You want a system that will immediately send them. And then you're getting all these new things like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger and SMS, which is a legacy product, which should never have been charged for in the first place because it costs them nothing. It goes over the mobile, the voice network. It doesn't go over the data network. Is it reasonable to expect small town 911 systems where they're relying on overpriced, expensive IT consultants to set these things up to respond to every new fad app? That said, texting's been around for a long time and should, you know, you got to be where the people are, right? The idea is to promote public safety and serve the public. So I don't know where to begin on this one, Alan, but what do you think?
I don't know. I don't really know where to begin with this one either. I mean, I think it's a chicken and egg problem. It's the sort of thing where everyone can kind of agree that, yes, we want that feature. But until somebody says, okay, you need to start implementing that feature, nobody's going to do so. So this is the FCC saying, okay, time to start putting the feature in. I don't know. I don't really have any more about it. Cadeus? Matthew?
Okay.
Yes, next topic.
All right, next up. We're making progress, Alan.
I didn't mean to jump in on the doc. I just put some interesting things. But
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. Okay, so next up, Facebook puts an end to apps that beg for likes. And apparently this is, you're not allowed to incentivize, I think that's a recent word. You're not allowed to incentivize likes, which would create artificial things. Like if I said, if you plus one, to do a Google Plus analogy, if you plus one this post of the show, then I'm going to pick one of you to give a new iPhone to, or a new Nexus, whatever. Same thing on Facebook. And there's some apps that do that. Like if you like our page, then you'll be in our drawing for this, or you'll get some extra bonus coins to use in the game, or whatever it is. And they're saying that they're correctly saying that creates an artificial boost for something. But we've seen this all the time, right? We've seen TV shows. I mean, all kinds of companies do this, play these games. But this seems logical, I guess. If someone likes something, they should say, I like it. I should. It's equivalent of me saying to Matthew, we're in a coffee shop or bar, and there's some hot chick across the room, and I pay him $20 to say I'm a good guy when he really doesn't like me or know me at all, right?
Or you could just say it's inorganic versus organic. That might be easier.
What do you guys think? Do you agree with this?
You know?
This is a rare time when I agree with Facebook.
No, but I mean, agree with it. I mean, they've already. What about all those pages that have already benefited from it? You can't go back. You can't take that away from them. So, I mean, a lot of pages, a lot of brands use this technique, and they jumped ahead. You know, and that gave them that springboard. Maybe they're not doing it anymore, but it's not like you can take those likes away from them. You know what I'm saying?
And so what, Matt?
I guess my point is that like why was it okay for all these years for all these brands to do it, and now it's like, oh, guess what? It's not okay anymore. Like why? Like why? What happened now that all of a sudden Facebook woke up and said, oh wait a sec, Facebook knew this was going on this whole time. When the major brands were doing it, they weren't like, oh my God, Starbucks, hit like, we give you a coupon or whatever it is. I mean,
wouldn't a better way to do this handle it internally? In other words, in the same way that Google has a page rank based on quality content. If you were gaming the system like that, they would allow you to do it. If you're Justin Bieber's managers and you're doing a contest, you know, like our page and share this
post. Does Justin Bieber
and,
need more promotion from you, Dan? Really? Is that who you had to use? All right.
Or okay, Christina Aguilera. I don't know who's hot now. Britney Spears. whatever. But the thing is, if you say like my page or share this post, you'll be eligible for a meet and greet with Gene Simmons, right? He's now selling. You can meet Gene Simmons from Kiss for X amount of dollars backstage. So if they do that, that's fine, but diminish the value of that post in people's streams as a result, right? That way they can still do it, because it does result in more interaction and more ads being viewed as they share it. And it might even be a paid post, right? But I think the way Google handles stuff, where you can say whatever you want to say and they can post whatever you want to post, but they'll just diminish your credibility as a result. They don't prevent you from doing it. They might punish people occasionally, mainly for, like, to make an example of you, to diminish the behavior from others. But do you think this is the right way to go, to just say you can't do it anymore? I mean, that's as old as time, right? If you know.
How are they going to police it? Do you really think they're going to be so strict with it?
I think it's a deterrent effect. I mean, I might be, if I were so inclined to do that, which I am absolutely not, I might be less likely to do so.
You might, but what if you're a major company?
I would be very much less likely to do so if I was under threat of being kicked off, my app being deleted or whatever.
Facebook is not going to get rid of a major company if they break this rule. Not that I think it would be. They might
one, but as in a general rule, yeah, I agree with you. But they might do one publicly to, chastise the others into compliance. All right, I don't think anybody else cares about this, so let's move. All right, where do you go for the Facebook Messenger app? This is the one you did, Matthew, right?
I did a few. Well, one was about the Twitter, but you guys jumped. I mean, that's not a big deal. Twitter's testing that will show experimenting with brands and people. You did it already. And then
Facebook Messenger. Everyone hates it. Your thoughts, Matthew?
Everyone hates the fact. I don't hate it. I don't really care. Facebook, Google, they all have our information. The idea that they're going to take over my phone, the idea that they're telling us that if you download Messenger app, we get access to your phone, we get access to your recordings. Do you not think that it's happening? They have all the data anyway. But I mean, I think people are making a bigger deal out of this than they should. If they want to use the Messenger app, download it. If they don't want to use it, don't. I think people that are worried about Facebook somehow, what are they going to do with that data once they have it? Once they have your phone conversation, what will they do with it? I don't get it. I mean, I don't really get it. Do you?
Okay, so okay, just to clarify, this is about Facebook's decision a month or two ago to require a separate app for the Messenger versus being
they've always
part
had
of the Facebook
they've had
app.
it for a while. Yeah.
But they shut down the person-to-person chat using the Facebook app, and you have to download the Messenger app to do that now.
Exactly.
So I actually I have it. I've removed the Facebook app from my phone because I was getting stupid crap, and I couldn't figure out how to shut. I just done. I'll visit it on desktop a couple times a day, and for the Messenger app, it's actually not bad. I only get an intrusive thing when someone sends me a direct message, which I don't mind at all. And the radio station guy communicates with me. Like today, he suggested some topics for the show for tomorrow that we do, which is at 11:07 a.m. Eastern Time on VirginiaTalkRadioNetwork.com. We can listen live, or if you're in the Central Virginia area, you can listen to the radio. But yeah, so I don't mind that. I only get like every few days I get one.
You know who else has a separate app for messaging? Google Plus. Hangouts is its own app. So
okay,
whatever.
Let's pretend that everyone uses Google Plus Hangouts.
Everyone does.
Okay.
I mean, they don't. They might use Gtalk. They might be using Hangouts without. They might be.
No, unfortunately, everyone uses Hangouts now. And it's crazy because now everywhere I go, I hear the sound, and I'm used to that just being exclusive to me. And now I go, oh,
we're not the cool geeky kids anymore.
Right. Now we're the normals.
Everyone's got 7 of 9 glasses.
When it comes to messaging apps, Hangouts are I won't say they're in the lead, but they're definitely making a strong showing these days.
It's kick ass. It's a fantastic app now. It really is. And and I agree with you now. I was very reluctant,
like
but
video
now
integration. They like the SMS integration. They like its one stop for everything that's essentially doing the same thing.
how come I get text messages now, and I never opted in, it just happened. Now all of a sudden, instead of getting a Google Voice notification when I get a text message, I'm getting it in my Hangouts app.
Because the Hangout app updated.
This is with the publicly released version. But on desktop, I don't see that, right? In other words, if I go to Hangouts,
Dan,
how come
I
it's
think
different
you're
on
talking
mobile?
about, Dan, I think you're talking about something ridiculous again.
Okay.
You're talking about pipe dreams.
Dan.
Next question is,
It's a good thing that this is the end of the show, right? That no one
where to
watches
go
it.
for the best public Wi-Fi in the U.S.? And I think McDonald's won, right? Was it McDonald's? Starbucks did not fare well. But Starbucks increased dramatically when they switched from AT&T to Google, which is not a shock. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're all stepping over each other talking.
You love it when we do that.
Okay, I'm just going to do a PSA while they read the article. I'm Dan McDermott. I'm host of Google Plus Week, the longest running show on Google Plus, where we talk about Google Plus. That's the name. And we are every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. We also host another program with many of the same players, although we don't let Matthew in because he's kind of, grouchy. And that's at Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. It's called Our Android Week, where we discuss, I'll give you a moment to guess, Android. So we hope you'll tune in to either of those programs. Thank you so much. I'm Dan from Android, from our I'm Dan. I'm just Dan.
Stay tuned for Dan's new show, Sarcastic Bastard, which comes out next fall.
I'm getting picked up by Amazon, but I don't like to brag, so Prime
Fire.
Instant, I won't be talking to you guys anymore because I'll only be hanging out with famous Amazon people then, because I'll be a celebrity, and TMZ will probably be, tailing me.
That's Amazon amazing. I screwed that up. That's amazing.
All right,
That's Amazon.
Have any of you read enough of the article to comment and become instant experts?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway from this one is that most people would find these results totally bogus. It then goes on to say things like, hotel chains have faster Wi-Fi than McDonald's.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Right. I've never met anybody who thinks that hotel Wi-Fi is decent.
Yeah, at 5 a.m., hotels have better Wi-Fi than McDonald's does at 12:30 p.m. So there is some truth to that. But yeah, that's bullshit. But I got to tell you, I've been to McDonald's before, and it's the only thing I don't like is when you got your phone on the setting where it automatically connects to any public Wi-Fi thing, and then you get like some kind of thing, and you're trying to respond to a tweet or text, whatever it is, and is trying to send it over that network, but you have not yet. Then you have to open Chrome or whatever browser, and then it defaults opens, welcome to McDonald's. Click here for our terms of service, and then you have to say yes before you can respond to that is so stupid. Why don't they just put a sign at the door say, if you use our public Wi-Fi, you agree to our terms of service, which are at mcdonalds.com/Wi-Fi TOS. If you walk in these doors, that's the deal. Or if you're on a property or within our range, that's the deal. Why can't we just do it like that? So there's not some stupid opening screen you have to open before you can function, because that causes you to set the setting off to where it won't accept the public Wi-Fi thing, which is a hassle in itself. It's still baby steps. It's 2014. This should be fixed. And the McChicken is $1, and why is the frickin' filet of fish $3-something? But that's not entirely related. They permanently undervalue their fish sandwich.
It's processed.
Chicken sauce. They're both processed. You think there's a rectangular fish? You kidding me?
It's all processed. I know. That's what I was agreeing with you.
But yeah, look, a fish patty and a chicken patty cost roughly the same, right? So why is one $1 and one's $3.69 or something? Are you kidding me? Turn around and grab your ankles. Welcome to McDonald's. And I love McDonald's. I'm just saying. I know the.
Wait, you're saying that that isn't fish more expensive than chicken in general?
Not 360% more.
Well,
A processed filet fish patty, breaded, and a processed chicken patty, breaded, are not, $2.70 more. I mean, difference.
Look, it's either pink slime or white slime. Next subject.
Yeah, that was a whole scam. And the picture
Wait.
was pork or something. It wasn't even.
you admitted to going to a McDonald's too, so.
I go there sometimes. I go there,
Alan's like, don't encourage him. All right, let's move on. All right, next, Dan did his PSA. We loved it, and I don't know if you want to talk about Google buying Emu and
Oh my God.
Director, but
I got it. Hey, let me share our screen here. This is our thing, which is I think linked in the post. I'm not sure if it is. It should be, but it's publicly accessible to anybody, and you can edit and add your own topics. But Alan's description here: Dan does a PSA while the rest of us pretend to care about this story. I barfed. Seriously, one of the best parts of the show.
I'm sorry, for the record, I didn't add the I barfed part.
that was me.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome.
All right, so Alan is vindicated here. All right, so next up is I didn't see this at all. I don't know who added this.
I did.
Okay, so you can intro it. Let's go to Matthew Rappaport
Google
in New
bought
York.
Emu and Director. I'm not totally sure why I did get distracted by. I'm not totally sure why they bought Emu and Director. I never heard of Director before. In fact, I don't think I ever heard of Emu before this. And Director was bought, I think, by YouTube.
You can't figure out why Google bought them?
No, I know why they bought them. I'm saying I didn't think they didn't seem popular at all, either one.
That's not why they bought them.
They bought Emu to shut down, right? I think, and take their team.
They wanted the team on both of them. I mean, considering that both of them are iOS applications,
Right.
not Android applications.
Which is why.
It's clear they wanted the people and the technology. So let's explain the people and the technology behind Emu. Matthew.
Isn't it a messaging app? I didn't do enough research. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a messaging app. But and mind you, I just read the article. But it's a messaging app that actually has the smarts of Google Now behind it. So if you did something like, say, you're chatting with somebody and you say, hey, let's meet for lunch at the Moonlight Diner,
Mm-hmm.
it would turn the Moonlight Diner into a link for the Moonlight Diner.
Which is smart.
If you said something like, hey, can we meet up Friday at 3 o'clock, it would tell you what your calendar looks like Friday at 3 o'clock and give you the option to add this as an appointment or whatever.
And if you were a betting man, you would think this feature would be coming to the Hangout app.
Yeah, seems pretty damn likely to me.
Yeah. And we lost Cadeas.
Try again, Cadeas. We didn't quite get you there.
I said in some fashion or another, but I don't know why you lost me. That's weird.
It did robot.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And the Director app is more. I don't know if you want to talk more about Emu. That's fine. But Director app is YouTube based. I guess YouTube related to YouTube, making short
the
videos.
Division bought them.
Right. To make short films, you can edit and you can make short films. Edit your films, I guess.
Yeah. So
like
basically, since Android Movie Creator did such a stellar job at capturing the market, they, I guess, feel like they need a real movie editor because every current YouTube-based movie editor sucks.
Yeah.
So maybe hiring people that know what the hell they're doing might get them what they need.
Are you suggesting that had Google Plus hired people that worked on Facebook way back when, that might have helped?
I think if Google Plus had actually hired people that knew one damn thing about social, i.e. they got people who worked at AOL 20 years earlier, they could have produced a better system.
That was a damn good service.
Oh, God.
And actually, that's where they still make most of their money, sadly. Internet service.
I think they still, I just saw the numbers. It was like 2 or 3 million dial-up users still.
It's ridiculous.
Well, there are places you have no option. Or they can't afford it.
I don't buy that.
Paying for the
No, there are places I know because there are people who they had a public campaign here to get them to do DSL because all they had was dial-up.
If Robert Headley
Here.
in the middle of South Dakota, middle of nowhere, South Dakota, can have like super fast internet.
I'm telling you, it's up to the company because it's not profitable when you have homes up on the mountain with your beautiful scenic view. I'm right next to, my backyard is a state park, and a mile that way is Skyline Drive. So there are beautiful mountain homes, very fancy, and they have dial-up. They have phone service because they're required to run the phone line to you, but they have dial-up service, really. So it's a real thing. And try to sell a home. Try to sell $1 million home when all you got is dial-up. I'm not buying it. I don't give a shit how fancy it is. I'm not living off the grid. Go ahead, Matthew.
So the Director app, any of the technology of the Director app, do you believe will be coming to any piece of Google? See it, Dan. Any piece of Google?
God, we can only hope so.
All right. Anything else happening with Google lately?
So, Dan, this next subject is yours, and you walking away at this point was really inopportune because the rest of us really don't care about Justin Bieber.
No, it's just I don't either. Except there was this story, and then I saw this thing in Pointer that said it was BS. Imagine something in the mainstream media being BS. And I'm qualified to say that because I own the #1 newspaper in my county. So
And
there
the
was a
only
story, No, there's 3, and more from ancillary. We have the Washington Post, the Winchester Star, the Northern Virginia Daily, the Warren Sentinel. My circulation is 12,000. The Sentinel's less than 3,000. The Northern Virginia Daily is about less than 3,000, about 3,000 in my county. The Washington Post is probably in the high hundreds. No,
Dan,
I'm defending my honor for Matthew, who did a rare Matthew dig.
Justin Bieber?
You're defending your
I only
honor.
want-
Think about that.
I'm used
was-
I'm used to
Bieber.
digs from you guys, but Matthew, it's a rare Rappaport dig. I had to defend myself.
It's not
No.
a real dig. It's a dig for the audience.
I know
If there's-
it's
if there's
good
out there.
good for ratings. Beat me up, I don't care as long as people watch.
Speaking of beating people up at Justin Bieber, did the Orlando Bloom punching him that happened last week or this week? Because that's probably more exciting. I'm just saying.
That was
Since
it
you
was
love
interesting.
Justin
I
Bieber
talked
so
about
much.
that on the radio, and I'll be there tomorrow at 11:07 a.m. at Eastern Time on Virginia
What
Talk
happens
Radio
if you're there at
Network.com.
11:08 a.m.?
So no, they called. The lady calls, and right after CBS News, go CBS. So anyway, yeah, I did a contrast between. Remember there was that controversy over the NFL player who punched his girlfriend out, and then Whoopi Goldberg said, "Well, you can't hit a man and not expect to get hit back," and that was a big controversy. And then the ESPN guy commented on it, and that came about right around the time where Justin Bieber got hit, and I just thought it was humorous that everyone was like criticizing this NFL player for knocking his girlfriend out, and the same people were cheering and making Orlando Bloom almost the heroic elf-like figure he played in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I believe he's still playing him in the Hobbit movies too.
for punching him in the face, right? So I thought that was funny. Like if you hit Justin Bieber, you win like the Congressional Medal of Honor. If you hit a girl, you oh God, who hit you first?
Dan,
I don't condone hitting women, period, right? Under any circumstance, unless like they're have a gun.
well, some people would say hitting Justin Bieber was hitting a girl anyway. So
We don't want to get we don't want to question his gender. But anyway, so there was this story about Justin Bieber. Some guy got mauled by a bear in Russia, and his phone went off, and it started playing "Baby" by Justin Bieber. The bear got scared and ran away, and the tabloids twisted it into Justin Bieber scares a bear away and saves a guy's life. Fun story. And then I saw this other story from Pointer, which I linked to in the comments below. It's not on the YouTube video yet because I can't, but it will be. But apparently it's BS because the original Pravda story. I mean, if you can't trust the Russian state media, who can you trust, right? Anyway, the Pravda story, if you translate it to English, they said it was a feature phone or some kind of older phone, and if you hit a button, it would reveal the time. And so it said like it is 4:30 in Russian, however you say that. It's a shame Oleg had to leave. He could have done a on-camera demo for us. But anyway, I think the whole story is bullshit, and literally made up. The Justin Bieber angle, I think it's totally nonsense. And this gets to like the story is on page A1, and the correction, just kidding, all that was total bullshit, is on page C4, right? But the internet version of that. So that happened. Any thoughts on this, the bear mauling controversy and the serious ramifications on geopolitics about this? Oh my God. We're truly ratings whores. All right, next up, Google buys. Okay.
We have 2 shows, Dan.
Huh?
I wasn't. What?
Did we add something else?
I added this.
The Twitch
I don't know.
thing, yeah.
It wasn't adding it. I was wondering what's the deal with Twitch
Oh,
and
God.
Google. All right, we don't talk about
Okay.
it.
Let me do a quick intro here and then throw it to Matthew.
No, I don't know. Yeah, don't. I was.
Here's the
asking
deal.
you
Here's
guys
the deal.
about
Justin TV began with a guy named Justin webcasting his life. He was like a prominent in the media, a webcam, 24/7.
What? Why are we telling the history?
then iJustine. No, it's important. It's actually relevant here. Then iJustine became a star on Justin TV, and then now she's a YouTube star. I don't know if she was recently doing Justin TV stuff. This show started on Ustream. Then I moved to Justin, or vice versa. I can't remember. Maybe Alan can correct me there, because one of them, the ads were a pain in the ass. Like when the ads would run, it wouldn't delay the content. It would preempt the content. So the viewers are complaining, so we switched. And then Google Hangout started, so we switched to that. And then there's rumors that Google is going to buy Twitch, which is a subdivision of Justin TV. Justin TV is basically whatever you want to broadcast live, you can broadcast, and then it recorded it, and then people can watch it later, watch it live. And then Twitch was a subdivision of that, which was centered on gaming. These kids who play the video games, and it's a huge thing, and some of them get millions of views. So you could live cast your gaming if you're really good, and then other kids would watch and they'd learn. I say kids, I mean preteens to 20 somethings, and then you'd watch and you'd learn some tricks from the really good players. So there have been rumors that Google was going to buy Twitch, and then Justin TV suddenly shut down, and they said, without any warning, they said, we're closed, your account's deleted, all your content is deleted. So all those early Google Plus Week shows and the McDermott Report shows, although I have local backup, so it doesn't matter to me, but they're all gone. And there's no way they didn't say like in 30 days we're going to shut down, so here's a way to back up all your stuff, click here. They just said, we're done, period, closed. You no longer have an account here. Although if it was a gaming-centered account, you could switch it to Twitch. And so some people view this as a sign that they're about to sell to Google by hemorrhaging their, I'm guessing, obviously a money loser, or they wouldn't have shut it down, thing. But this gets to the push to the cloud, which is logical and great, and it makes sense. But you're still putting your trust in that company retaining your data. And also, it's kind of ironic because I remember in the 80s, I worked at the U.S. Embassy in London, England, as a summer job, teenager. And we had weighing terminals, so they were dumb terminals, and everything was in the central server. So this cloud movement is kind of the same thing. So it's kind of interesting that we've gone full circle to where the cloud, it's all cloud-based, and it's not, I think we're moving toward things like Chromebooks, which rely on an internet connection and central stuff.
Dan?
And so we're trusting people to store our data. And then Alan is going to berate me, and he's ramping. He is circling the tarmac. So, Alan, go ahead.
I take full responsibility for typing it in. I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't realize Dan was going.
I still not understand why we started talking about Justin TV's life at the beginning.
They're shutting it down. There you go.
I totally don't know how we
I
got
started one day when a kid
Justin Bieber.
No, it's the next topic. Google buys is going to buy Twitch, and Justin TV is shutting down. It was a new topic, and it's true that Justin TV, all those things are relevant. I don't get your. Maybe I've completely lost it.
You've completely lost it.
Anyway, what do you think, Alan, about this trusting the cloud to store your stuff, right? Like we have stuff in Google Docs, both of us do, Google Drive. What if all of a sudden they said we're ending Google Drive? And somewhere buried in the terms of service was they're allowed to do that. And I looked at the terms of service. I went to archive.org and looked up Justin.tv, and I found that in the terms of service, they said it's as is. You know, we're not liable. We can shut down at any time. We can delete your account for no reason at any time. So they're totally protected. So there may have been people like iJustine who have years of content stored on there, and now they've lost it. There was no warning, so there's no way for her to have, and maybe they made a special deal with her because she was a celebrity. But this is bad for people who are thinking about trusting cloud content providers as a way to, what if WordPress.com shut down and said we're out of business, sorry, and 7 years of your posts are suddenly deleted? It's a legitimate question to raise in this instance, because all of my old shows, remember that show when we had McGruff the Crime Dog on, we all these crazy shows, and they're all deleted, they're gone. There's no way for me to retrieve them. I think that's a part of the story I think you have to address. Is Alan frozen or
maybe he's frozen in disbelief.
Okay.
He's moving now.
Do we really want to get into a 2-hour conversation about the cloud?
No, I mean, we don't have to. I'm just saying.
Good, the next subject.
That's what I thought about.
I mean, you could talk about Robert Scoble did a hangout on air to talk about Facebook's algorithm newsfeed versus Google Plus's algorithm newsfeed and why Facebook is so much more advanced. And if you care about that.
So Monday on Google's Plus
You
Week.
want to know just how much I care about anything Robert Scoble?
I guess not. All right, Alan, bring it on.
Things
Go
people
ahead.
have to say. We have this comment from Miles, who says Dan is kind of a big deal.
I'm not sure what that means.
Miles, you've just been added to my VIP list.
And the Alan Furstenberg fan club reports that I was mentioned on Twit last week, apparently discussing Google Glass. I'm curious to know what they said. I'll have to tune it in, I guess.
I'm going to guess Elgin mentioned you, but I could be wrong.
Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if Gina mentioned me, because I was on Gina's Android show a couple of weeks back talking about Glass.
By the way, Alan, I heard a crazy rumor that if somebody is interested in Glass in general, and especially developing for Glass, that there might be a good book they could purchase. How might one go about doing such a thing and finding out more about said book about Glass?
Well, funny you should ask that, Dan. They might, for example, go to shop.o'reilly.com and look for a book titled Designing and Developing for Google Glass by Alan Furstenberg and Jason Salas, available now. Or if you're in the New York area tomorrow, I am teaching a course, and you can look it up on meetup.com or check me out on Google Plus, where I've mentioned it only a half dozen times or so. I'll be teaching the course tomorrow and probably again in the future, and that's on beginning and intermediate Google Glass design and development.
Do you have any Google Glass apps in the works that you can actually talk about, Alan?
No.
No. Okay.
I've got lots in the works. I tend not to pre-announce them because I like to actually see the light of day first.
Are there any new Google Glass apps that you could recommend? No. Okay.
No, not really. There was a very interesting sounding Duck Hunt game that recently came out, but I usually leave that to Jason to talk about.
I tried.
So, Dan, we have a show coming up on Monday night, don't we?
Funny you should mention, Alan. Okay, so Monday night we do our Android Week. It is a show about Android. And it's 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, where we talk about all things Android. So, coming up, one of the things, who was it? This was a Eli post, right? Who shared this with us, Alan?
I don't remember. You might be right that it was Eli.
I think it was Eli. Let me pull it up here.
Anyway,
tell us the gist of it.
So the gist of it is that apparently Google Play Music has changed their policy again, so that you're only allowed 4 device deauthorizations per year. They had instituted this at one point. There was tremendous backlash. They went back on their policy, allowing unlimited device deauths, and apparently they're trying to push this through again. So we'll be talking about it, talking about the pros, talking about the cons, talking about what this really means. Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. What else are we going to be talking about, Dan? You're going to be showing off something.
Yeah, I'm speculating we might be talking more about the cons and the pros on that topic based on the headline here from Android Police. Google Play Music now allows only 4 device deauthorizations per year because screw you, that's why. Talk about clickbait. Awesome. Good stuff. All right, kudos to Android Police there. All right, so I have one of the things I'm going to show off, because screw you, I have it and you don't, is this NVIDIA. Is that, I don't even know how to pronounce it. NVIDIA, right?
I think as we've come to agree on the past 3 shows or so, yes, NVIDIA.
I'm unable to turn it on.
That's a glowing recommendation for it so far.
Oh my God, yeah. So this is the one thing. It's
It works great, except it doesn't turn on.
Yeah, if you can turn it on, it's fabulous.
So this is a tablet that I recommended 2 weeks ago, and you went and bought it for your salesperson to do video demos with some really good audio to it. And it sounds like it's meeting the bill. So we're going to discuss it in more depth on Monday after Dan's actually been able to figure out how to turn it on and can talk about it some more.
Okay, so it's turning on. I'll do a quick show. Yeah, that's the one issue, but it's early firmware, right? Because this is, I mean, I think you said, Alan, this is like a 2-week-old product, right? It's definitely brand new. It's been in the streets a couple weeks.
So we'll get your first thoughts on it Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
All right, hang on one second. I just did.
Or not.
I just turned it on. My light's there. All right, so I'm gonna hit the. It's still like loading all the crap because I just turned it on. But so just to show you how fast it is, this is pretty impressive. So I'm gonna click the downloads. Let me go out there. Let me load Chrome. And that's going to whatever. And then I'm going to go to my downloads field. I'm going to show you how quickly it loads this video. This is amazing. Watch this. I'm going to click it here. I'm going to do this. I got this microphone. It's a really good mic, so you'll be able to hear it. It's got stereo-facing speakers. So let me hit this video here.
Hello, my name is John Ricketts. I am co-owner of Long Ridge Cigars here.
Let me do that one more time. Just show you how quick this is when you're trying to play a video.
Hello, my name is John Ricketts.
That is freaking fast.
Of Long Ridge
it's dramatically faster than. Here's another one. I'll click another one here.
The Area Guide's all-in-one web presence solution is literally everything you.
All right, so this is an amazing device, and I even did this. I've got it set off the, and then I'll stop after this, but just to show you. If you don't have connectivity, I want the sales rep to be able to show a web page offline, right? So I saved this as our landing page for the cigar shop in Winchester as a JPEG. So watch how fast this loads. And so it looks just like the web page. It even has it doesn't work, but it's just a JPEG it's showing here, right? But it's just amazingly fast. It's the fastest processor available for tablets. And Alan, I appreciate the recommendation. This is $300. We'll talk about it Monday more, and these guys can interrogate me. But it's the NVIDIA Shield. It's a $300 tablet, designed for gamers, but functional for general tablet use. It's got dual front-facing speakers. The best feature so far, Alan, is this right here. It's got an HDMI port, and it works fantastic. When I play, it doesn't work great watching a YouTube video when you're relying on Wi-Fi with my ghetto like Walmart Wi-Fi thing, right? So I'm not blaming that. I'm blaming my Wi-Fi thing. But if you have a local video and you plug the HDMI into a, if you're in a restaurant and you're in a quiet section, you can plug it in the TV. You hit go and you should watch it on TV. It's like you're watching a Blu-ray player play it. It's perfect. The audio transfers to the TV perfectly. It's fantastic. It's really a game changer. And it's an 8-inch tablet, and it's really cool. And then Cy, our last comment, and then we'll go to how was your week. Cy says, now I want a cigar from someplace that has a walk-in humidor. Yeah, check the video out. If you want to see the actual video I did it with the with my NEX 7 and my Sennheiser mic, and it's at frederickcounty.com. If you just go to frederickcounty.com, if you're watching the show recently after we've done it, it's at the top. You'll see it, and it's Long Ridge Cigars. So I did the video and the stills and stuff, all with that camera and the mic. It was just the camera and a cable coming out from the mic input into a Sennheiser, I think MD64 or 46, and it was fantastic. So, okay. Cadeas Kalut, how was your Google Plus week?
My Google Plus week was, what was this week like? This week was pretty bland, actually. I didn't do very much. I was just relaxed. I haven't taken very many trips this year, and so I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of trips, and so I've been doing a lot of planning for traveling.
There's a big thing in I think it's TMZ Japan, lamenting that you haven't been there for a while, making any television appearances. So what's the deal with that? Are you discriminating? Do you hate the Japanese now? Are you discriminating against them? Is this a political issue?
No political issue. Just I've been tied up with a lot of things, but it's time for me to travel and get back to normal. So that's what I've been planning this is what I spent a lot of time this week planning all my trips for the rest of the year.
So for the tabloids, the headline is Cadeas is ending his boycott of Japan soon. So that's good news.
That may work.
Alan Furstenberg, how was your Google Plus week, sir?
Good. Busy. A lot of it's funny Matt asked about glass development. I've been doing a lot of glass development recently. I've been working a bit on the book and preparing for this class that I'm going to be teaching tomorrow. So that's always fun.
If somebody is the class full, or can people, if they're interested in the New York area, can they still go, or how does that work?
Last I checked, there was still room available. Not too many seats left, but some still available. So
where could they go to find out information?
You can check my profile page. So you can go to plus.prisoner.com, and I made a post on it this afternoon, which will link you directly to the courses.
Awesome. Okay. And then Cy says,
how was your Google Plus week, Dan?
It was good. One last thing. Will that tablet do Twitch TV while you're gaming? I have no idea. But it's basically a pure Android tablet.
I believe so. Apps. I believe that was actually one of the advertised features of it.
Yeah, they didn't do bloatware. They did it the way that I prefer, where you deliver a pure Android experience. You just pre-install some of your apps. And it also has a stylus that you can use. Using the thing with the HDMI cable on your television is really awkward, because if you're trying to type a Gmail message, this is not practical, because you've got to type it on your screen, but there's no video on your tablet itself. It's on the TV, so you're kind of estimating about where the L would be. So that just clues you. But that functionality was initially designed so that you could start a game and play the game using a peripheral device, a game controller, and just use a big TV, right? So it's not designed for this, but it's kind of a workaround, but it's fantastic, and I'm really pleased that Alan recommended it. And so another advantage is that technically Craig is paying for half of this for my sales rep, and so I got Craig shipped to buy an Android device. So, I control him for that. My Google Plus week was good. I got to hang out with. I'm going to post tomorrow. I made a video of this girl in a cage full of 150 parakeets, and it's on my YouTube channel. If you look at the YouTube channel you're watching now and look for the picture of the girl with the parakeets on her head, that's the video. It's like 2 minutes long. She was adorable, really cute and funny. And then I interviewed the lady, and then her 15-year-old, I think it was her cousin or sister, I can't remember, was there, but she wouldn't go on camera. But I interviewed the lady who was in charge of the parakeet exhibit. Basically, you go in there, they give you parakeet food on a popsicle stick, and there's 150 parakeets, right? So they come right up to you. They're all domesticated and friendly, and it's really cool. And then they're really it's the Bar C Ranch in Berryville, Virginia, and all of their they do fairs, and they have like an actual ranch where you can go, and they do stuff. But it's all educational, right? And her husband does camel rides. So I got to hang out with the camel. A year ago, I got to hang out with elephants at the circus. That's really cool. And they were bumping into me and sniffing my leg. And it was just awesome to be with, big giant animals like that. It's really cool when they're really friendly and domesticated. But it was just a fun experience. So look at my YouTube channel. I've got one up now. I've still got the camel video to do. But I think it's cool that they do this. I mean, they make money doing it, but also they have little kids who have never seen a dromedary camel before. They've never been in a cage with 150 parakeets, and they make a point to educate the kids about the animals. And I learned stuff like I didn't know that the hump just stores fat, not water. The body is really good at storing water, but the hump is just fat for the food part. So it was just interesting. So I learned myself, and I captured some of that on the video. So hope you'll watch and enjoy and learn as I did. We have two programs. This program is Google Plus Week, the longest running show on Google Plus, an unofficial look at the Google Plus ecosystem and general tech news and random things that we come up with. And that is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific every Friday night. Friday, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. We have another program called Our Android Week, where we discuss all of my Samsung Galaxy Note 2s that I have. I'm getting a third one in a few days. And other Android topics, all the latest Android news in our fun, witty way. It's only we can deliver. That is Monday nights at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. That's Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, right here on Google Plus and YouTube Live. We appreciate the comments very much. We appreciate all the live viewers. We appreciate the viewers after the fact. Either way, we love it. And we look at the comments, and we respond, and the comments make the show. And we really appreciate you watching. So thank you. Thanks to the panel. And until next time, have a wonderful Google Plus week.